Hello and welcome to the RWBY podcast. We are talking about Volume 5, Episode 11. I am Santa's Little Helper Mediocrity 4.
Oh, that was a good sip. It's me, high-powered. I survived the New Year's with my liver partially intact. And I enjoyed this episode, but this episode makes me concerned about how this volume is going to end, because we got 3 more episodes left.
Returning from the dead, ready to rant the fuck out of this episode. I am Dude What the Heck.
And failing at my New Year's resolutions already, I'm Sakucard.
And I am possibly the only person more pissed at this episode than Dude. I am Robert.
Oh, this is just gonna be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
This is my angry smile.
First of all, Dude, can you
Okay.
please confirm to us whether or not you were or were not actually on fire in California? Because
No,
I made a joke about that a few weeks ago on the Beyond podcast.
No, I'm not. It was actually pretty cold yesterday. It didn't even hit 70 yesterday.
It didn't even. We have like negative. Media, tell him. Media, tell him.
No.
He lives in California.
I've been to St. Louis in January and in March, so I do know what St. Louis is like.
It's been really cold in Missouri. This last week.
It's gonna freeze where I'm at here in Texas tonight. So
I did go to
We're
school,
getting nothing where I'm at.
I did go to school in Massachusetts for 2 years also, so I do know what cold actually is. Trust me, and I as much as snow I know is an issue, I wish it was colder here. Trust me, I do not like how warm it is here all the time.
Yeah, I feel like it would get obnoxious.
Sounds like a lame complaint, but it's legit. I understand why snow is an issue though, as pretty as it is.
It snowed once here in where I was at in Houston, and we got like 2 to 3 inches that like immediately went away as soon as the sun came out. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. So, Dude, since you've been gone for a period of time, I will hand over the floor to you for about 15-20 minutes. But let's just talk about what happened in this episode. So the episode starts out with them all walking in to go meet Lionheart. Raven is there inside. Lionheart's like, "Why you got your weapons with you?" And then in the back of my head, it's like, I didn't see a 30-06 sign or a 30-07 sign out here, so I mean, I guess I could bring my guns in.
Can we point out how he asked that question and then puts his own weapon behind his back?
Yeah, because
watch
maybe
as if they weren't going to notice that.
check out my new Invicta watch. If anyone's familiar with those, they make some huge watches. I love them. I love them to death.
Why am I not surprised that that's your style?
No, well, okay, I owned a few for a period of time. I don't own them anymore because my wrists aren't big enough to wear most of those watches. So then Yang is like, "Oh, look, a bird! It's my mom!" And then Crow shoots the burb, and then Raven's all like, "Wow, you didn't shoot to kill? Lame, I'm offended." Then Ruby tries to appeal to Raven, which fails, and then also we get the little line dropped. It's like, "You sound exactly like your mother." And then opens a portal, and Ruby immediately gets dunked on through the portal.
She did get memed on.
And so
and then fights ensue, and that's the entire episode.
And then fights happened, and then penetration happens in this episode too also, but it's not the type of penetration that you want.
Yep.
And it's never mind.
I mean, unless you're into that sort of thing.
I mean, there are probably people that are, and there's probably Mr. Medicore Deviants episode about it, but I don't recommend you going to that part of
anywhere
or for affinity.
I don't think many girls are looking to get spears right under the tit. I don't think anyone has that fetish.
Alright, so
I think this episode is like the definition of like a cock tease / blue balls.
Okay, so
in a lot of ways. So
alright, Dude's got the floor for the next 20 minutes. I set the timer on my phone.
I will do my best not to take up all of that time. I will do my level
Yes.
best.
So
not to take
tell
up
us
time.
what you thought about the episodes that you were gone for, which is what episode
I only
9
missed,
and 10?
I only missed the previous one. I only missed 9 and then this, or 10 in this one, right? Because I was you.
No, you missed
Media
9.
No, he
Did I
didn't.
miss 9?
Sock missed 9.
Oh, okay.
Sock was the one who missed 9.
Yeah,
Hey,
we missed
leave me out of
missed
this.
a week. Yeah, because then we missed the week for Christmas too. So I think it was 2 weeks gone, but not 2 full episodes. I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever.
You missed the Beyond
Either way,
podcast,
pretty
though.
much all the episodes have been bad recently. There hasn't been a good one since, or no, there hasn't been a good one since like episode 2. I think there's only been a decent one since, what was it, episode 7 or 8, or was
4?
it? That wasn't
Something like that, yeah.
I don't know. I don't even honestly that's kind of a problem with this episode or this volume is that I'm not even remembering, because volume 4 was the first volume where I watched through every single episode when it came out new, and I watched through them again, and we did the podcast starting in episode 3 or 4 was it, and I knew generally what was happening in every single episode, and they did a good job of the episodes they linked into a show until like a full volume, but you could feel how, at least a little bit, how they were episodes, and I knew what happened in all of them, even the ones I didn't like. But I think that one of the telltale signs of how shitty this volume is the fact that I don't remember what happens in every episode anymore. I genuinely have forgotten, and I've watched the episodes basically the same amount as I watched volume 4 episodes. So that's not really a good thing. It's mostly because nothing's fucking happening in all of them. Now, so episode 9 was also, in my opinion... So actually, I have to ask you guys this, because I wasn't here for the podcast and I've been very busy, so I did not have time to watch the whole thing yet. What were your guys' overall opinions on the episode I missed, episode 10?
It was
I watched the episode.
it was a
the
good
podcast.
fight. It was a good fight scene. Everything else was kind of bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ilya's face turn made no sense. It wasn't properly built up.
I disagree on that.
The white face. Okay. Well, as I put it, it didn't come out of nowhere, but it wasn't earned. It was very half-baked, like media put it, it should have been the beginning of Ilya's face turn, not the end of it.
Yeah,
and
I'll agree with you there. She was basically built for the face turn to happen, because that was her. Like, you could tell that was going to be her character arc.
What sucks is that we've been robbed of Adam's backstory.
What's supposed to happen this volume, really?
But it was not but it was. So, like, we kind of saw it coming, but it was not a satisfying face turn. Yeah. And the White Fang pretty much fucked themselves over, so... Yeah, that was more or less...
Which we talked about that the episode before that with... Yeah. I did watch Media's review of the episode.
Yeah,
course,
yeah. Because they're much shorter than the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so... Yeah, the episode starts with... The first thing is, like... The first problem I have with that episode is, why are we still listening to Ozpin as if he's a good guy? And yes, I did actually take notes on all this so I could rant about this. Why are we still listening to Ozpin as if he's a good guy in the beginning of that episode? I don't understand why we cast doubt on him. And then it's like, now we've completely forgotten about all that doubt that we cast on him. Now he's just back to being like the leader of the group again. Why? That doesn't... I liked when... we were not sure if he's a good guy or not. I like when we thought he's like the characters actually thought he's wrong. What happened to that? Why did John never yell at him? Why has that still not happened? And why did Yang give up on that? I understand she's there for RWBY, but still, she can have her own fucking thoughts and opinions. Why are we not? Why is I understand that bugs me. Why is RWBY still blindly listening to him in that conversation?
I feel bad because like RWBY is robbing Yang of her agency.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing.
And
So
go ahead.
So here's the other thing too. So I watched like the Fat Men like group after talk of this about like her heel turn. And then I think the only person that didn't like her face turn was Fat Man, and everyone else was pretty much fine with it.
Who's face turn? Yang's?
No.
Ilias.
Ilya face
Oh,
turn.
okay.
And so, if episode 10 didn't have that fight scene, it would be pretty kind of meh. Or if it was just like, ha, someone got punched, and there we go, it's over. I will say that, so we'll kind of just preemptively go into this now since I think Dude's done. So this is
Oh, I'm
just
not done. I'm
okay.
not
Well,
done.
don't worry. You've got 14 minutes. So, but I like I liked episode 10. Although there are some issues with the two also, as there are with this episode. I did enjoy this episode, but I'm looking forward to, like, once this episode hits everyone, tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much it's gonna blow up in everyone's faces, because this is gonna be. I can.
much moderating.
People are gonna love
so-
this episode.
I think they will. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no.
don't-
Well, people. Well, let's be real honest here.
For very much the same reason that they loved PvP, the episode where Penny died.
So here's for me, like, whatever especially in this episode when Weiss gets injured, and I'm like, it sucks because, like, with that character getting hurt, there's not a lot of, like, because there's, like, no, like, if she actually dies though, like, I have a feel like this will severely, like, hurt my enjoyment of the show, like, for the rest of the series. And I think a lot of people will honestly drop the show because of it.
I will.
Yeah.
I will 100% drop the show if Weiss dies. As much as of a Nora fans, if they make out, someone will tell me, and I'll go watch that episode, and hopefully it'll be adorable, and then I'll go back to not watching it anymore. Because, and I'll get to that in the rest of my rant. But I'm still on episode 10, by the way, of my rant. I only just started.
So keep going.
So, why are the adults the only ones suspicious of Lionheart right now? In episode 10, they're the only ones that are suspicious of him. No, the kids don't even think about that. What? See, this is exactly why, and I called this, and I didn't want to be right about this, but I was 100% right about this. This is why Ozpin needed to die for good. Because, as I said, all the hand-holding that the adults are still doing for the kids is fucking the show over. And I could not be more right about this right now. Because they're not doing anything. They have no agency right now. This is exactly the problem. RWBY is super backseat right now. What do we say? Like, RWBY right now is not even in the backseat. She's in those third row seats that face the back, that are facing the cars behind the car that they're in.
No, they're in the truck that has the camper top that someone bolted in stadium seat.
Yeah,
they don't even have
air,
they don't even have aircon that's outside of, like, opening up the one of the side windows.
Yes, that's where RWBY is right now. That's how much she's not driving the show right now. So that's not okay. And that's the problem. Like, none of the kids are thinking. They're not using their brains. They're just following along to fucking Ostard, and that's not okay. Even Oscar, who I don't even like very much. He is now completely gone, basically, at this point. The last 2 episodes, he doesn't really do anything. It's just Ozpin again. And as much as I hate Oscar, this is worse to just have Ozpin. This is exactly what the problem was. That's terrible. So, and why is Bat Boy such a useless fuck? I'm sure that's been mentioned. I forget his name. But why did he get hyped up and then he just completely got his ass kicked? That's fucking stupid.
Got taken down faster than what's his name's YouTube videos. Stealing one of Media's jokes there.
Insert YouTuber name here. YouTube videos. That's funny because I don't know who you were talking about, but that can apply to a lot of people.
Well, the guy who does his voice is, like, one of the dudes in, like,
Team 4 Stars videos. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I was also right that one of the Belladonnas would die, or none of them would die. None of them died. Because I'm pretty sure that's something I either said should happen or would happen. That is what happened. So much standing and talking in that episode. It's not as bad as the episode before that, where they literally stand around while the fucking fabulous Fox brothers.
Oh yeah,
are disabled.
I timed it. That episode where Blake disables the Fox brothers instance there,
Mhm.
that actually goes on longer than the dude charging up Nora scene from Volume 3. It goes on
Holy
for a whole
fuck
10
titties, that's
seconds
bad.
longer than that.
Yeah, that's
Like,
that-
I realized that when I was doing my honest look at the Vital Festival, and I was rewatching that scene, and I was like, wait a minute, that's 20 that's like 22 seconds. I know I timed the one from Volume 5. I timed it again, and it was like 34 seconds.
And can
Oh
I just
my
point? I mean,
gosh.
I hated DBZ for a reason, just so you know, and I don't want DBZ in my RWBY. And I'm not even going to say that RWBY's a better show than DBZ anymore, because, but
It's not.
at least can we not have the bad parts of DBZ in RWBY? You know what I mean? Can we at least avoid that?
I mean, the
and
parts of
just-
DBZ that were just there because they didn't want to catch up to the manga. RWBY
Yeah.
doesn't have that excuse.
RWBY doesn't even have that fucking excuse.
I feel like the big issue is they're taking a lot of cues from anime, and they're taking cues from shitty anime too. Also,
They're taking all the negative cues from anime. They're not taking the. And
Yeah,
we've
they're
gone
not-
over this before. The one I referenced was Nichijou and Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, which Kyoto Animation, they are the king of cute. That is somebody just said it recently in an anime year in review thing, and he's 100% right. Kyoto Animation is the king of cute.
Yeah.
Nobody does pointless cuteness like they do. RWBY cannot do that. And was the episode where they're just sitting around and talking? It's not actually cute. It doesn't work the
Which
same way.
one?
They don't do it with the same charm.
that was like
Kyoto-
episode 5, 6.
7,
Again, like
8.
which one? It was
Which
Oh,
5.
the
episode?
dinner time one.
Yeah,
which
seven,
goes
that
back
was
to what I
7.
said earlier.
That was
I
7.
don't remember which episode that was. So
Yeah.
you can't do that when another like, and then not even do it as well as the anime that do it well, and it's not the same type of anime. All fucking shit. All right.
Well, the problem is like they were basing like the whole kind of thing like from like Soul Eater instead of like an actual like decent anime. Like Soul Eater's good, but it's the manga's good. The manga's good. Let's put it that
Okay.
way. The anime, it kind of pulled some strings.
Yeah. So, what's after that? Okay. So yes, the fight scene between Blake and Ilya. After they stopped all the talking bullshit, I kind of liked it, and I actually really liked the touch where they had Blake shoot the ice shots at her, and then it froze her weapon, and she didn't realize it at first. I liked that. That was cool. That was a cool touch. That was
I
actually
like the
really
fact
cool.
that she was reloading and was looking at different ammunition types.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This makes my
Like,
my gun knowledge just like good stuff.
yeah, that's cool. I like those touches. And honestly,
Does the
those are
judge
touches-
does the Judge Dredd thing where it's just like double whammy?
Those are the kind of touches that Monty would not do, I don't think. Monty would not actually think
Yeah.
about those because it's all about Flash for Monty. So I like
Yeah.
that. That felt realistic. Besides, it'd be so nice to be able to talk about these things without this. If the standing and talking things weren't an issue, that would have been wonderful. And why did I just? Jesus Christ! Am I still on?
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah, you are.
Because my screen just locked up to kick me out for inactivity. So so then the fight scene was fine until then Gira gets concerned with Blake while she's clearly winning, and so just so
On
he can
top
get
of the situation.
just so then he can get hurt.
That's
for
the funniest thing
basically
I've
no
ever done.
reason- For basically no reason whatsoever. So
Yeah.
that was also a fucking pain in the ass. Did not like that.
It was
and
a
then-
fake scare. It was a fake scare.
He takes that stab like a boss too.
Yeah. And then, in my opinion, the worst part of that episode is the ending. Blake's speech is such bullshit. Like, it's not like I understand where she's trying to come from. I think it's full of shit because it's still the same issue of why are they trying to recruit a bunch of fucking normies to go fight a war for them?
I mean,
That's the
isn't that
problem
how
with
most wars work out? Is the military-industrial complex and tricks a bunch of normies into fighting for them so they can fight over like resources and then lines that are drawn on a map, or maybe some random autistic Serb shot some barely related member of German royalty, and the Germans got to ruin Europe you know, like they do like once every 100 years. Oh wait, sorry, I'm going off topic here.
We're like once every 40.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Germans are like the worst things that have ever happened to Europe. Sorry for any German listeners, but you know it's the truth.
Must
And
not make Angela Merkel joke.
And the thing is about the Germans, and I am part German, is the Germans wouldn't be such a problem if they weren't so damn powerful and good at a lot of things. If they were pathetic pieces of shit like France.
No, the Germans have an
Pissing everyone off today.
Yeah, the Germans have
The dang
an
No. That's just the obligatory America making fun of France joke. No, the
Fair
French, that was completely a joke. I make completely pathetic pieces of shit like Greece. Greece is a pathetic pile of shit. That's actually true.
Greece is an entertaining pile right now because they're
it is.
single-handedly bankrupting the EU.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
hilarious.
Yes, and then Germany is not just cutting the cord like they should, but you know, whatever.
No,
I'm not
Germany's
gonna get
becoming
into
the Fourth Reich with the EU and their EU army.
So, but the problem is that so I still agree that why are they trying to convince normies to go help them fight? That is the problem. Like Blake, she's trying to be a force for good, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that she said because I run away too much. I appreciate that as well. But she's still kind of trying to get people that should not be used, and she's still using them. It's still not okay. And then the Ilya face turn, I am not fucking okay with. I agree. What we said this before the podcast. It should have been the beginning of her face turn, not the end of it. It just fucking happens out of almost goddamn nowhere. Like,
Would you prefer that she apologized and then then they were like just dragged her off in cuffs pretty much?
yes, they needed to cart her off to jail because it's not okay for her to just be completely forgiven like this. And in no society would it be okay for Blake to just say, "Oh, you're okay," and then everybody's just like, "All right." Like, if I was in that crowd, I'd be like, "Fuck you!" Fucking off with her head. You know, like, because I don't know.
There needs to be
complexity,
consequences. Yeah.
Blake knows her complexity, so I kind of understand that. I do. But why does nobody else yell about it? Why is everybody else just okay with it and just inactive about it?
Well, old rat dude kind of had issue with it.
One guy.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
guy.
like here's the other thing too. Also, like if this was a more mature show, then it would be like, oh, like obviously, like the surviving Fox brother would be like facing the death penalty. Like he should be hanging from a noose, like the first opportunity that he gets.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
keep in mind, I just finished-
that would be so, like in a more mature show that had like a 23-minute runtime. That would be like an episode where like after the dust is settled, they have to figure out like exactly what they're going to do with them. Where it's like, okay, it's like, what do we do with these people? Like obviously, like, well, I used to say that the Foxboroughs were too dangerous to be kept alive, but I was obviously proven wrong.
Can we just like I just literally like an hour before this podcast, I just finished watching season 4 of Peaky fucking Blinders, and goddamn, that show is amazing. First of all,
Of what?
Peaky Blinders, starring Cillian Murphy, the most underrated actor in the world right now. Probably. And I haven't even seen Dunkirk yet. I want to, but I missed it in theaters. So as soon as I see that,
Same.
He's in it. So
I saw Wonder Woman
he's in
instead.
it.
Spoiler
I want
for
to see it
Dunkirk.
just because of him.
Spoiler for Dunkirk. A lot of people drowned.
I know the
We
historical
guessed.
event. I just want to see how Chris Nolan
I
brought
do
it to
know about
life.
the historical event.
Don't you
I
mean
just wanna-
Bane?
What?
He was
Bane.
the
He was
pilot.
Scarecrow.
Yeah, Tom Hardy's in that movie too. All the Batman villains aside from Heath Ledger.
Tom
for
Hardy's
obvious-
also in Peaky. Tom Hardy's in Peaky Blinders. I'm pretty sure it's him.
But
But anyway, so the thing is with that, Peaky Blinders, literally the whole premise of the season, spoiler, was shit comes back to haunt them because they left a loose end. No fucking loose ends, and that's kind of what happens in this season. No fucking loose ends. and I feel like Ruby's kind of not doing that with Ilya.
Yeah.
That's why that extra pissed me off.
And
that pissed me off before I watched that season of Peaky Blinders, and then I watched that season of Peaky Blinders, and it's even worse now to me. Also, just having again just watched a vastly superior TV show to RWBY, it just makes me come back and be extra negative RWBY. It's the same thing that happened when I rewatched Avatar: The Last Airbender and then came back to RWBY, and it's just like, oh.
I mean, it's been happening with freaking Boruto, and that's overall probably like on par with RWBY, but it's just doing. It's not making any of the mistakes RWBY is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Now on to this episode. Am I right on this one?
So let's first talk. So okay, we learned before I let you go. We learned a few small important facts which are obvious at this point. So basically, all the huntsmen that were sent out on those missions were dead because Lionheart was feeding information to Salem. And be it Salem using her control over the Grimm, which hasn't been established how well she could control said Grimm to get a bunch of huntsmen and huntswomen killed.
I think what they said was that it was actually Hazel and Tyrion personally, so
I think it's a combination of the two.
So like maybe a combination of the two, but I don't know. Yeah,
which just brings up that age-old complaint of why are the Grimm even a thing in RWBY?
Yeah, how are they even a threat?
For a while.
I've been thinking about it recently. Like, I don't know. I've been thinking about it recently. Like, as far as threats to like humanity as a whole go, like they are just above the White Walkers at the beginning of Game of Thrones. People know they're out there, but nobody really seems to give a shit about them and stuff like that.
They don't like to talk about the White Walkers.
Yeah, exactly. With the White Walkers, it's like nobody believes in them anymore. Nobody actually thinks they're out there. Nobody really considers them a threat until all of a sudden they are. The Grimm are just a little bit above that. Anyway. But
can I just point something? Can I just say something real quick?
Yes.
I just remembered the Grimm existed.
Oh God.
Yeah,
we have
had a lot of Grimm.
When you said that, when you said Grimm, I'm not even joking. You said Grimm, and I'm like, wait, Grimm. Oh shit!
We have not seen a
single. Those are a thing. Yeah, and with this battle of Beacon with this battle at Haven going on, they're not even utilizing them. What the fuck?
We haven't seen a Grimm since the Lancer fight.
Yes. Yeah. Holy fuck! This is a bad realization.
Yeah,
I don't even think they've been mentioned.
And it's realizations like this that have me pissed off at this episode, because this episode made me realize a lot of things, a lot of issues with this volume and with the show. And sorry, go on.
That wasn't even originally on my list because I forgot. I forgot Grimm existed in this universe.
Which makes me sad, actually, because Grimm are like my favorite part of this free.
I like them as a concept.
They're an amazing concept.
I like the idea that there's this monster there's these monsters out there that can kill like even the toughest person, which is why Summer Rose needs to stay dead, and why she needed to have been killed by Grimm for any of this world building to work at all.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't matter like how many of them you kill, how much you clear them out, they're always just going to be there.
They're just gonna respawn.
Yeah, they're just gonna respawn. They're just gonna come back. All you can do is just keep safe and stay strong. And I like that. I like that.
As I said, the best way to make sure we need to see more burned out villages and we need to see more civilian casualties to make the Grimm seem like they're actually scary.
Yeah. We need to see more huntsman casualties. Legitimate huntsmen that we actually feel like that actually feel like they deserve the paycheck.
No, this is why I kind of wish
legitimate huntsmen, because you have to see them in action to actually consider them legitimate. Otherwise, we just get these jobbers.
Well, that's kind of why this is like a kind of shitty thing for me to say, but I kind of wish like we had like a team, like a random team show up, and then like there's just a cutaway. Like this kind of makes me wish like we had a cutaway of a bunch of like huntsmen getting like rolled on
some
by
Order 66 stuff.
Yeah, literally.
Hey, just
Team Coffee. Watch Team Coffee die. I'd be down for that.
Kill off.
You can just use, like, kill Indigo, kill Bronze, or at least some members of Bronze or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like we just use those resources we already have.
Well, I mean, they
I'm
did
pretty-
kill
I'm
one
pretty
member.
sure-
of
Team
the
Bronze are probably dead.
I'm pretty sure we could beat up Team Bronze.
Yeah. So here's okay. So then the only other really
I have an apology to make real quick because this is relevant. I once I think it was a year and a half ago, got in an argument with somebody. It was Judge Esther Volume 3. I got in an argument with somebody, two people on RWBY Republic, because they were saying that the show is dumb because they don't care about the grim enough and negative emotions don't mean as much. And I was disagreeing with them, but it's not. Whoever you guys are, if you're watching this, you guys were totally right.
He's
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry.
The show would be so much better.
But
I'm
Volume
sorry.
three-
Wait,
in
no.
Volume
I
three,
gotta
they
do it.
mattered.
I gotta do it. Where it's like, I'm
The show doesn't-
sorry.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, in Volume 3, the Grim mattered. In Volume 3, the Grim
Yeah.
were an actual threat.
Yeah.
The show would feel so
Even
much
in
more
even in Volume 4. Even in Volume 4.
Yeah, well, because you
Um,
had Levi had
The
But
show
this
would feel
volume,
so much
they've
better if it was more like dystopian and the Grimm were such a bigger deal, and they affected every single aspect of life in this world, and they should, given what their concept is, you know. That and it'd make Ruby a more interesting character as well, because her chipper attitude would kind of stand out more and things like that. People would be less negative, but they'd also be less emotional. They have to be like state-sponsored stoicism or some shit. You know what I mean? That would be interesting.
Well, that's kind of what I wonder. I don't know. What I wonder about with the Grimm is like, I'm not even sure what their concept was supposed to be. Like at the beginning of this series, I feel like maybe. Okay, here's what I think is that at the beginning of this series, that was the time for them to possibly introduce the Grimm and make them be kind of like I said, just a little above, a bit more of a threat than the White Walkers. But after Volume 3, they should have been like, I don't know. Well, yeah, they should have been like the fucking Titans after like Episode 3 of Attack on Titan and stuff like that. Like they're like all of a sudden they are a legitimate threat. They are like humanity is on the verge of extinction again because of these things and stuff like that. Like they haven't been treated, and I don't know, they haven't been treated like that this volume.
Like
So.
even
I
hate to bring up
for God's sake, even
hate to bring
Attack
up
on
an age-old
Titan
argument, but even Volume 2, they could have been like a bigger thing than just kind of like, oh, there's you just get like a tiny
maybe.
swarm and then cover the
Titan
whole.
is kind of shit, in my opinion. And even
Yeah,
But
they
the
do
Titans
that.
are not. The Titans are not the problem with Attack on Titan. The Titans are like the redeeming factor of Attack on Titan.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
The problem with
That's my
Attack on
point. My
Titans is
point
nobody
that-
gives a shit about the characters. Anyway.
Yes.
Exactly.
I kind of like the idea that the Grimm were kind of like the Corallians from Eureka 7, where they're almost like remnants, white blood cells.
Wait, Eureka 7's the one with the surfing Gundams, right?
Yes. Yes.
And the chick who has cancer, that's like the main character's love interest.
She doesn't have cancer at all. But
Oh, wait,
she's
maybe
a
I'm
Corallian.
mistaking one of the.
I've never heard of
Macross.
this show, sorry.
Maybe I'm mistaking one of the Macrosses where the main love interest has like cancer or something.
Eureka 7 is a good show. It's actually my favorite mecha series.
Okay.
My favorite mecha series is like is Susei no Gargantian. That's not even really a mecha series, but I still love it.
I like
That
the
show's awesome.
love series
the
as much as I hate
closest-
to admit that.
I think the closest thing I have to a favorite mecha series is Code Geass.
Code Geass
that would be up there as
Gundam
well.
Wing Zero.
I don't.
It
I
wasn't
almost
really
don't. I almost
Well,
don't
is
count
Code
that.
Geass in the super robot category or is it in the Gundam category? I think it's super robot category.
Something like that. Anyway, yeah.
My
Voltron.
roommate,
Like I said, it's the closest I've gotten.
Yeah, my roommate
Which isn't
could
very
better
close.
explain the difference between super robot and Gundam.
Yeah, okay. But yeah.
So anyway, this episode. was
Sorry.
awesome,
Wow.
in my opinion.
So yeah, I just.
If anything, it was worse than the last episode, actually.
So
Like,
here's a
overall,
few
and what
important
it
facts that here's a few important life lessons we learned from this episode. First things first, John.
Yep.
Yeah.
ever
Well.
make-
Yeah. Well. After the fight starts, like the fights are the lines are drawn pretty early on, and the fights are very isolated. To the point where like when one fight is getting focused on, all the other fights just disappear.
Disappear. Yeah.
They might as well not exist.
Yeah.
Like you don't even hear
Well-
their background noise.
And
How
what
is,
you do see
how is
is
Dragon
just
Ball
from
Super
the
better
actual
than
intro.
you at this, RWBY? How is Dragon Ball Super better than you at this?
So here's
do know.
a few important life lessons you learn. Whenever you're facing a bad guy that just simply doesn't care about human life and is more than happy to ice people at any moment,
Or burn them.
or burn them. You don't specifically whenever you're like, oh, I'm okay, the eye die, and then proceeds to look at someone you care about, and
Yeah.
So let's kind of roll back.
Let's
here.
save the Vernal and Weiss
Well,
and
he didn't
Cinder
even
and
look at
Jean
Weiss.
fights last. Let's do them last, since that's where the cliffhanger comes in, is with those two fights.
Yeah.
So here's
And we just have a bunch of.
we have Emerald fighting Ruby, and
makes
I don't
sense.
know, which makes sense, but I don't know why Ruby is trying to like talk no jutsu Emerald out of it. I mean, I guess Cinder's scissoring game is like really good, like really good to keep her there.
Yeah. It's probably because the audience knows that she has doubts, but Ruby doesn't. Or like because the audience knows that Emerald expressed doubts or expressed, displeasure with what was going on back in season 3. But Ruby doesn't know that, so yeah, Ruby has no reason to try and reason with her.
She's playing the wrong card if she's ever gonna try to like pull Emerald away.
Yeah, I mean, for all
Ices
Ruby,
are way
for
better
all
than
Ruby
Cinder.
knows, for all Ruby knows, Emerald is just as crazy as Cinder or Tyrion.
Yeah. So then we also have the Mercury and Yang fight.
Kinda.
Which we barely see, even though it's like kind of the most personal fight kind of the most personal fight for any of these characters except for Raven and Crow.
And John and Cinder.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's only personal for Jean.
Yeah, it's only personal.
Yeah.
Well, here's the
Cinder
thing.
don't give a fuck until he scratches her. But anyway,
here's the thing, though. Cinder knows exactly who the fuck John is, but she knows that she could push John's. Like from the moment John was sitting there crying in front of her, she knew the exact moment that she could fucking push his buttons.
Cinder's a bully.
Yeah, Cinder is a bully, and I appreciate Cinder bullying John Chan. So
intensifies.
Then we also got to bring up to the Oscar and Lionheart fight. So first of all, I will say this: I really like Lionheart's weapon. It's pretty darn cool. I like it.
I was gonna say that too. That's like
his freaking dual disc.
That's like the only
his magic buckler.
His magic dual disc buckler. Yeah.
And I do like. I see. It seems like the only person who actually got whose training actually worked was Oscar's training.
Yeah,
because he gets it a pretty good combo in on he gets a good 30% combo in on Lionheart. That's a pretty solid opener right there in a fighting game tournament.
Unfortunately, he messed up his Dragon Punch.
Another thing that pisses me off.
Ruined his combo.
Oh god, the thing I hit the most is he literally just tanks the first hit, and I'm like, why?
Yeah,
why are you?
Yeah,
and I don't know, Robert, if this is your same issue that I have with that you have with the Oscar thing, but how is it that even if he's got he's got Ospen in him, how is he even not dead against a fucking headmaster of a fucking fighting academy? Why is he not dead?
To be fair,
I'm more pissed just at the fact that he's the only one whose training seems to have worked. But anyway,
to be fair,
that's
and I noticed
yes.
I noticed this when I was getting the screenshots. Lionheart does not actually throw a punch.
Yeah, he seems to mostly be on the defense too.
Yeah. He does the one blast right away, and then he's just.
And I have a whole nother reason to be pissed off at something else that we learned about Lionheart this episode. We'll get to it.
Why do we?
That he's a Faunus?
That he's a fucking Faunus, and the White Fang wants to blow up the academy that he runs. Let me run that by you again. The White Fang wants to blow up an academy that is run by a Faunus. They officially have no motivation anymore.
Except that
there's nothing sympathetic about them anymore. They are, exactly. They are full ISIS. They are the whole idea of, humanity drove them to this. That message is dead now, Miles and Carrie. you guys fucked yourselves.
Can we also
Except
point
it
out
is
that
the
with
faunus
Lionheart-
that is helping them do this, so...
Can we also
Inside
point
job,
out, yes,
sort of.
and that's another problem though, because at this point they're talking about like equality and all blah 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 blah. Out of all the faunus that matter, they're all assholes, including Blake. There is no faunus that's a good guy. Seriously, think about it.
Callie.
What faunus is besides Callie and the
Kira.
Belladonna family, but
Son.
But yeah.
oh,
But
there
none
we
of
go. That's the one. Another character I forgot about because there's so many fucking characters. There you go. Son's
Again,
a good guy.
yeah, they once again have the
But-
the overcrowding problem again.
Why-
But yeah, I get
if
what
you
you
really
mean.
think about it, most of the faunus are actually assholes in this show. Most of the good guys are humans. If you really think about it. It's
Yeah,
like,
getting
yeah,
really
yeah.
mixed messages here, Miles and Carrie.
Really,
Getting
really,
really mixed
activates
message.
those
Like,
almonds there.
Rooster Teeth, they're SJWs, but they're mostly white people. I really don't know about this.
Yeah, and
That's a little
Just-
confusing.
and just the fact that like the one headmaster who's actually a turncoat is a lion, and he happens to be like his one and only character trait is that he's a coward. Yeah, Ozpin, this is what affirmative action gets you.
Damn it.
Oh man.
Oh,
It had to
boy.
be done.
But
I look
yeah, it's
forward to
like
this
they
video being demonetized.
we're in trouble, yeah. But yeah, like I don't know. Even before that though, the white
I think we were in trouble with the Germany already. So you know what?
yeah, we're in trouble with a lot of people. But yeah, Salem. But like at the beginning of this volume, though, Salem says, the White Fang is working with us on the caveat. Like the White Fang, or I don't know, the way that she says it makes it sound like she doesn't really care if Haven is destroyed as long as the relics are as long as she gets the relic, which doesn't even really make sense considering what we like the fact that she had no problem just tearing Beacon to the ground. But and like and wants to destroy everything that Ozpin's built and stuff like that. But like, the way she made it sound was that the White Fang specifically wanted Haven as an institution but destroyed. But it's an institution run by a faunus. Even like at that time, we don't even know like
Honestly,
yeah, we
honestly,
don't even know if they
Why
knew
not Atlas?
he was in charge at the time. So it
Why
doesn't
not
make
Atlas?
sense. Yeah, why not Atlas? Yeah, exactly. Why aren't the White Fang all gathering why aren't the White Fang destroying the destruction of Atlas?
Oh, speaking of something that the White Fang are
honestly,
and I brought this up with media
Okay.
a few days ago. It's like,
I-
why are the White Fangs wanting to blow up another CCT? Or why are they trying to blow up another radio tower again?
Yeah,
is it the transcontinental communications TV,
CCTV.
internet, broadband, Comcast setup like important to them? I mean, I can understand it'll mess up like local communications potentially, and it's maybe like to throw.
But they use those local communications too.
in Vale, in Volume 4.
Yeah. So here's,
Continuity.
You know what would have been better? I had this thought.
But
What if the kids went to Haven Academy because the only lead they had was that Cinder was from Haven, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they get there and some of the things happen, but it's kind of a red herring because what's really under attack is Atlas. How interesting! That would have been a lot more interesting, I think.
Or just don't make Lionheart a faunus.
Or just
Although,
that solves
I
many
have
of
to-
your problems. It's like that
Honest-
random thing that they just decided to add in that brings up so many questions.
Honestly, as someone who like lives 5 minutes away from Ferguson, I found this very accurate.
What very accurate?
The faunus trying to blow up an institution ran
Oh.
by a faunus.
Oh God, we're gonna have to. Oh man, I need to keep my mouth shut here.
Anyway, but yeah.
Speaking of pissing people off, what did the basic bitch YouTubers that like RWBY think about this episode? Because I can't stand.
I don't know.
No, don't kill Weiss!
Wait, no, is it
The
too
only
early
one-
to even tell? They can't even. I don't think the embargo's
Yeah.
up yet. The
Because
embargo's
Well-
not even up yet.
on the Rooster Teeth channel, that's on the Rooster Teeth channel, that's the basic thing for the most part. Oh my gosh, they killed Weiss, or it was like, yeah. Oh, I like.
Well,
I like the
in
fight scene because
fairness-
they're fighting again. So, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
do I have to do another?
A dead Weiss would completely kill the show. That would
Yeah.
be the biggest
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
In fairness.
But
But
the
there's
only
still people who don't want to admit that she's gotten better as a don't want to let go
Well,
of season
and
one.
to answer your question, the only reviewer I know of who actually has a review out for this episode is Nemesis Bloodreich, which is one that Kitty Kirishima does voice work for a lot of times.
Okay.
And he did not like this episode at all.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
I can't bring myself to watch Jake and Murder.
Oh,
anymore.
Jake
I
didn't
just-
like this episode. There was a Twitter post that was screen capped about this episode.
Okay, thank you. And that's why Jake, as much as he's an asshole, remains to be better than Murder, because at least he actually
Murder
is
has
sometimes right.
Murder's the one
Actually-
I like. But
Actually, from what I've heard, Murder's been kind of downing on
He's
this
been
volume too.
yeah,
Okay,
Murder's
good,
been actually
good,
more-
okay.
No,
Good,
Murder's
right.
been hanging out with Murder's been hanging out with like
I don't-
Batman and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. So he's being more cynical about the show now. But
Okay, good.
still,
All right,
still the show,
good.
but he's just being cynical about
Well,
it.
I mean,
has not
he's-
watched this new episode.
I mean, he's
That's
still, from what I
Probably gonna be
know,
a me.
from what I know, he's still like really excited for every episode and stuff. But
I mean,
he's
as long as
he's
it's
definitely
actually not
starting to
just
get a
saying,
little
"Oh my
tired
God,
of
it's
it.
so great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
okay,
definitely
that's
he's
good.
definitely
That is
feeling he's
probably a
definitely
really
feeling
good
the
thing.
strain.
Hopefully, Miles and Carrie will realize, okay, even Murder is starting to call us on some of our bullshit. And like, to be fair, Carrie did, I don't know, he did recently do a thing where he mentioned like, I don't know, he did recently make a comment where he kind of acknowledged, yeah, we had some pacing problems here with characters standing around and talking too much. So Carrie knows knows what they did wrong and stuff like
Well,
that.
Carrie
Seems to
watches
know
My
what
Hero
they did.
Carrie was watching My Hero Academia right as they were like finishing up this like the production of this volume. Like by the time it was too late
Yeah.
to go back and change it, it was like
You can tell because
that's when he started
tell.
like being kind of very self-critical. It's like, oh my god, My Hero Academia does this so much better than we do.
Yeah.
And you can
They
tell-
really
you
do.
can
I
tell
could probably,
it's media.
part of me wants to make a video or a list of like everything that My Hero Academia does.
I'm gonna have to stop y'all once.
Anyway,
Robert's
sorry,
done,
sorry.
'cause Sock has something to say.
Go ahead, Sock.
No, it was going along the same lines. It's like you can tell like they were watching My Hero Academia because media and Robert can go with me. Like the freaking scene with like one of the Fox brothers and Gira, but when they were matching fists, that was straight Nomu versus All Might.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, that's
A little
also
bit.
just like a big anime trope in general too. Like JoJo's.
Yeah,
how many
it
times
does,
do you see two
Oh,
stands?
No, there's punching each
But
other
I
and
could-
there's punching fists. Like there's punching each other and then there's just straight punching fists, like connecting at the same time.
Yeah,
so I don't know what-
Dragon Ball
It's literally
does
the
Dragon
same-
Ball
it's
does
literally
that a
the same
lot.
motion.
Okay.
So here's
I don't know.
so
But
here,
anyway,
okay.
go
So
ahead.
let's get into the Vernal and John fights. So I'll be
Uh,
honest.
Yeah,
You mean
yeah,
Vernal versus
yeah, we're on
Weiss?
that.
Yeah,
No,
Vernal versus Weiss.
no,
Ninja
actually,
Okay.
first let's do the Crow vs Raven bit because I got a rant to do on that.
Oh no.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
Go for
so the Crow versus Raven bit was like extremely muted. Basically, they're like they lock swords and then basically Raven kicks Crow and that's pretty much it. And then
Fighting
Crow's like,
game intro
"You're-"
each other.
Crow's like, "You're dead to me," and then it's like, "Well, I'm sorry. I guess family disappoints." As she like wiki face like smug anime grins at him.
It's like you want to hate Raven at the same time. It's just like, but maybe there's a sliver of hope.
You see, my problem with Raven is
Doesn't
I'm
look like it.
getting to the. I'm at the same level with media where like Raven used to like push this show forward, and then so media's got a good. Okay,
Go
so
for
we're
it.
gonna drop. Media's about to drop some JoJo spoilers on y'all, so
Oh no.
beware.
Go for
What?
it.
I am?
Well, yeah, with your
JoJo
explanation of why
Oh.
Salem's so powerful.
Oh, I don't know why. I don't know what that has to do with JoJo, but anyway, so Raven is one of the things that actually got me into the show with Volume 2. And so it pains me to say that as of this episode she has become one of the worst parts of the show. And a large part of that, well, a little small part of that has to do with her voice actor just isn't up to snuff.
Try.
I see.
Dude,
I think
honestly,
she's
this
probably
episode
trying.
was-
She's probably trying, but she's certainly not. She's just not a voice actress
Okay.
at all. She is the
So she's
CEO.
kind of where Barbara was at in the first volume.
Well, no,
Yeah,
she is literally like the CEO of Rooster Teeth's wife.
Yeah, we know.
This episode, fucking Jessica Negri did a better job than Anna Holland.
And I think Jessica Negri didn't do that good of a job either.
I know, but my point is she did better than Raven's voice actress did.
Yes, Anne Hallam.
Yeah.
So, but even worse than her acting is her reasoning. So the reason she has joined forces with Cinder is because she fears Salem. The reason she fears Salem is because she thinks that she is completely unstoppable no matter what they do. But the reason why she thinks that is because of all the things that Salem does off screen with the help of people like Tyrion and Hazel and Lionheart and Cinder and all her other cronies, and the fact that she needs the White Fang as muscle for all this stuff. And like again, like if she had control of the Grimm, wouldn't that be enough? The answer is no, because the Grimm are absolutely wasted on the show. But the reason why all these people, especially Lionheart, are following Salem and helping her out is because they think that she's unstoppable. And
with extremely circular logic, yeah.
Yeah, it's circular logic. It's a fallacy, and I mean, does Raven not realize that she could literally just turn around right now, tell Vernal to finish Cinder off, and they would literally like take every major player out of Salem's hand, and also possibly get the relic, and also be on the run and not have anybody who could actually chase them down anymore? Like, there's no reason why she's actually working for Salem. Like, I liked it when she was like, okay, yeah, Salem's like immortal or whatever. Like, there's even if you kill her, she'll just come back. So what's the point? I'm just gonna live my life or whatever. That was fine. I was fine with that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then the whole fact that like her ultimate plan with this is to get the relic, as if that's not going to make Salem chase her that much harder. Or like Salem chase her with that much more
like
gusto.
Yeah, see, for
Yeah,
me, the
it's
relic
just so
becomes
dumb.
like becomes like the whole nuclear deterrence thing.
Yeah.
And so, I mean,
I think that's kind of been Ozpin's whole thing for the last 70 years and stuff like that. Use the relics to keep Salem from doing anything, even though he should have just destroyed her. But anyway.
Or use the relics to destroy Salem.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, maybe he actually can't. Maybe Salem actually, like, this is why the show really needs for Salem to be like kind of on the same like wavelength as Ozpin as far as like power sets go, and that like even if he destroys her, she'll just come back. Like they're both immortal to an extent or whatever. Like that would make
two sides
Raven
of the same coin.
That would make both of their plights so much more enticing if they kind of come from that same place. And it would also make a lot more sense because here's the thing. This show can beat around the bush for 10 more seasons, but there is only one way this show is going to end, with Salem's defeat.
Yeah.
And no matter how they do it, no matter what, the question will remain, why didn't they do it before?
Yeah.
Why didn't any of these other generations succeed? This is why RWBY needs to take the lead and be an interesting character and not just be following the same phrases and stuff. Why she needs to grow, because she could be that different. She could be that deciding factor. She could be like the Silver-Eyed Warrior who does like have all the stuff and acknowledges it and isn't just is like the eternal optimist, but is also like knowledgeable about the stuff and knows her limits. And like she could be that person. She could be the deciding factor. She could be the difference and why Salem didn't get defeated by a different generation. Which is kind of in the same vein as Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Anyway, where without spoiling anything, without heavy spoilers, the main villain in that was like hidden, and the only people who knew about him were the ones working for him, and the reason why they were working for him is because he basically lied and promised them immortality.
And created a lot of them, but yeah.
Yeah, and well, the homunculus. I was talking more like the higher
Right,
ups,
the generals and stuff like that.
the generals
the
and
people in charge of
the
Central.
generals and politicians that were working under him.
Yeah.
And so that made it a lot more enticing, a lot more believable, and a lot more reasonable why it was Edward and Al, of all people throughout all history, that actually managed to beat him.
Yeah.
There's
Also
a
because
question.
they were
Yeah.
von Hohenheim's kids, but yeah.
Yes.
And yeah. And just on the subject of RWBY, honestly, every time a character opened their mouth in this episode, it pissed me off. Just one of the big ones being that RWBY says, Raven has that really circular logic, and then RWBY has that line where she's all, we've managed to do impossible things with teamwork.
No,
when?
they haven't.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly
When, RWBY? Like, the most impossible thing, the closest thing, first of all, what even is impossible in this show anymore? What qualifies as impossible? And RWBY's like, and like the most impossible thing that anyone's done is RWBY freezing the giant, or freezing the
which apparently her mother
grim.
could do.
Which she did alone. Freezing that thing, which she did alone. So they haven't done any, like, nobody's called anything that they've done impossible until now. So like, that's just bullshit. And it is kind of this thing that somebody's brought up that like, RWBY needs, like, I don't know, comparing it to My Hero Academia, Deku loses a lot. Like, the main character in that, he loses a lot even though he's incredibly powerful. But at the same time, even when he loses, we are frequently reminded of how powerful he is. With RWBY, we're not, with like RWBY and Team RWBY in general, we're not really getting that. They're still getting their asses kicked despite having a month-long training arc and spending like several months out in the most hostile environment known to man, which Crow said a day out there is like a week in here, is like a week in Beacon. So like, they're still getting their asses kicked, even though they're supposed to be like the heroes and stuff like that. We're getting no reminders that these characters have a chance, that these characters are supposed to be the heroes.
That's because they were getting coddled in Volume 4. They were getting coddled until the Knuckle V fight.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just like, hey, I'm following you, but I'm taking care of your business.
Yeah, and again,
it goes of all these super badass weapons. If we have two characters this volume that are super OP with no weapons whatsoever.
Yeah, Hazel and Gira.
Like, what the actual fuck? I'm like,
is it bad that I want Hazel to pull off his like shirt and be like, "Nanomachine, son," as he like just tanks a blow from Nora? When they just
I'd rather have him have some sort of fucking weapon, for crying out loud.
Yeah, it kind of makes the weapons pointless.
He is the weapon.
Because I was watching this,
and RWBY's not even using her. Yeah, still using her weapon. Yeah, it's like this whole training arc has, at this point, feels completely pointless, except for Oscar, who I don't give a fuck about.
Yeah, exactly.
And so,
Robert, like that's the problem with like speedster type protagonists. It's like you can't like that's why like a lot of like if you just
you can't
the Flash, and which has its own problems. Like all shonen type characters or main characters like are mostly of like a ingenuity and strength types. When you have these speedster types, they can only go so fast before they become like ultra OP. That's why a lot of those like the sub main characters are usually the speedsters and stuff like that, like Killua or whatever from Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, and then we kind of talked about this, and
I don't know. I did some cool stuff with it in RWBY.
Well, I know you have, but I'm just saying, as a general,
it's hard
across all anime. Like like there's usually a problem with speedsters as main characters because you can only do so much.
There's also a problem with healers, but I'll get.
If you know anything about fighting games as well, basically in everything, speed is the most OP thing.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
if they're constantly throwing punches and a character can't do a counter or anything like that, you're you're SOL.
You're fucked. Yeah.
Or if you go so
that's-
fast, they could literally just vibrate their arm into your chest to stop vibrating it. Oh, now I got an arm in my chest.
Yeah, like
All
there's
those-
that kind
Yeah.
of, but the fact is with strength, like with speed, you can't really track it as well. With like strength, like let's just put
Yeah.
John as the main character, which let's put that aside. Like you can see improvement with Deku, you can see improvement.
Yeah.
But with Ruby's speed, it's just constantly just rose petals, speed, rose petals, speed, rose petals, speed.
Yeah.
Still
Gotta
gets
go
hit
And
by
she's
fast.
as fast as
Still
she
gets hit by
needs to
shit.
be, depending on how fast the plot needs her to be.
Yeah, like, oh, she's super fast. She can go supersonic speeds. She can like.
She
cause
can
this-
create a
this-
giant
this-
cyclone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a cyclone and just completely annihilate Juniper. Can't
And
get past
never do
Mercury.
it again.
Yeah, can't get past
exactly.
Mercury.
Yeah. She can she can lift up a bearing gull with a cyclone underneath it. Can't do that to Emerald, apparently. Yeah. Actually, I think Emerald. I take that back. Emerald's a pretty good an interesting match for Ruby with her weapon. So
Yeah.
I kind of like that, but yeah. So I don't know. So that whole line from Ruby was just bullshit, and like.
Yeah, that was one of my first notes. They never have done anything impossible.
Yeah, they've never done anything. Yeah, what
Like, sorry,
impossible
Carrie, I
acts have they done
understand
as
that
a team?
Like, Carrie, I understand that you're upset that people didn't like the Nukulave fight, and that yes, it was better than most people think it was, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that they've done impossible things with teamwork.
Yeah, it's like that
That's what
didn't.
I'm
Yeah,
saying, like, the-
that
the-
didn't.
Oh, man.
It didn't feel
The other thing,
impossible.
too,
Nobody
also-
said it was impossible. Although
the
I
lack
also
of-
like. But
The lack of teamwork in this episode was painful.
yeah,
Yes,
and then Ruby has her little teamwork speech,
Yeah, so much
and
teamwork,
nobody
but everybody goes and breaks up. Yeah.
except Ren and
No,
Nora.
like, wasn't that Media's problem in like Volume 2? It's just like, why are we doing one-on-one
Yep.
fights? We
Yeah,
just
why?
form
I
one
mean,
guy.
Yeah,
like they could have easily been like, okay, let's switch dance partners real quick.
Yeah.
Like,
Have
yeah,
yeah.
talk with
no-
Kishima about this. It's just switch.
I mean, the biggest problem
Yeah.
with this is that all it's going to do is add credence to people complaining about the lack of Monty. Because, and in fairness, the fighting in this episode was garbage overall. I did kind of like the Weiss vs. Vernal fight choreography.
Yeah, that was great. That was
that was good. I enjoyed the
like
Weiss vs.
that.
Finale bit.
I liked that bit, but overall, this felt so forced.
Yeah,
and
I like
awkward
I
Yeah.
liked how
just
Vernal.
weird.
I like how Vernal kept on
Everybody felt like they were in
interrupting her
slow
summon.
motion. This whole
Yeah.
episode felt like it was in slow fucking motion.
Even though there's only
Yeah.
one part. No, there's two parts in slow mo. Technically three, if you consider
Yeah.
like the beatdown that Ozpin delivered to Lionheart initially.
yeah,
So getting into the Vernal and
Go for
Weiss little bit. So I appreciate the fact that Vernal knows, like, okay, she knows that Weiss can summon this giant armored knight, and so she's gonna do her
Yeah.
best to keep that knight from being summoned.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it reminded me
Which
of
is
it reminded me of the final fight between Naruto and Sasuke.
Naruto and Sasuke. Yeah, Sasuke keeps swatting Naruto's hands away whenever he make his shadow clones and stuff
And
like
then
that.
he's
Yeah,
like,
that.
"Ha, I learned how to do the one-handed jutsus by copying the one lady from that, like really
Haku,
early on
yeah.
in the show."
It's a
He's
trap.
actually a dude.
Haku, which was definitely a
Yeah.
trap.
Oh no!
But yeah, so I will give him this. That was very. That was a nice little thing that they kind of borrow.
The
That they
pies.
kind of borrow from Naruto there. That yeah, like Vernal knows. Okay, she can summon this. Can't let her do that. And like, even though that like had me, and maybe this is like a good thing because it had me go, oh my gosh, would you just let her do it, you bitch?
Which, talking
Yeah,
thematically, and I don't know if this was intentional with RWBY. I don't think they put that much thought into their fight scene. So this was definitely intentional in Naruto, where the reason why Kishimoto chose the Shadow Clone Jutsu to be Naruto's signature move is because of his loneliness, because he was so isolated and outcast from the village as a kid, and so the Shadow Clone basically allowed him to act as an entire unit by himself. And Sasuke, even it becomes really over because Sasuke straight up says, like, you only use that jutsu to cover up your loneliness. My one and only friend turns on Chidori and tries stabbing him in the back.
My old friend.
Yeah. So they might be doing that same thing with Weiss and her summon because loneliness is like a big character
Her theme.
thing and why
Hey,
for
she's not
Weiss.
lonely anymore. She could have lesbian bike rides with Yang.
Yeah.
Are you saying that Weiss is Naruto, the Naruto of this series?
Oh my god, she
I
kinda
will-
is.
I will surpass all the Schneeds.
I always thought it was
Which
Jean,
is,
but
which is looking at Weiss is like, why'd you kill them all to test my powers? Oh man, so
Winter goes rogue. Winter!
I always thought that Weiss
No,
was the
that's Sasuke.
Sasuke. I always thought that
So-
Weiss was the Sasuke though.
So
No,
here's
I'm
the
saying-
thing though. Speaking of Vernal's weapons, I like how they're both used as like hand to hand weapons, but then she also throws them like fucking boomerangs too.
Yeah,
also
I was
really
like,
appreciate.
oh.
Yeah, they are chakrams. They are chakrams.
Yeah, they're chakrams and they're pretty cool. Yeah.
And so
Yeah, I like
here-
her
You know, when we first saw the weapons, we're like, what the fuck is that?
They do
So
kind of
here's
look
Funny,
dumb.
Like the weapons they're introducing are mostly cool. So why is it that they have characters that don't have fucking weapons? Like,
Yeah.
Well, see,
Fucking
like, there's a thing about this because, like, I was actually watching.
Bit
that
of an
episode- I
imbalance
actually watched the
there.
episode with my roommate, and when he like when Hazel like cracked his knuckles and just cracked his neck and whatever, and went forward, he's like, "Wait, where's his weapon?" I'm like, "He is the weapon." He's like, "Oh, that's fucking terrifying." Like some people like
But we've already seen that with Gira.
I want more dust mages.
yeah, I
I
more
want
dust mages.
Hazel to actually like turn out that like all those scars and stuff that he has is actually like him having injected like
Nanomachines.
earth or like nano machines, but with dust, like earth
Infused
dust just
dust
inside of
and
him to where he's
Oh,
like
yeah, that thing
indestructible.
that people
That'd be
can do
so
with
cool.
dust that hasn't been touched on since volume
That would be
2.
so good. That would be so cool. I would be
Anyway.
like that would.
I mean,
like,
I wanted to, but it's like,
it's like going back to the World Remnant Dust videos. Like we're talking about, like they had them infused into their clothes, into their bodies.
yeah.
and in
I want to
bullets.
see. I would like to see that because right now, yeah, it feels like we're kind of being gypped out of that.
So here,
But,
so
yeah.
here's what I like. So
What?
I like
I'm
that.
gonna be so
Weiss
disappointed
is
when I'm
sitting
wrong.
There, bouncing around on her glyphs,
Throws herself into a pillar for no reason.
throws herself into a pillar, which is
Does it show that, like, she's
which is a good
imbalanced,
edit,
or-
which is someone can edit John into that to where
Yes.
Weiss is mounting John.
I
that would be-
said that
that would be
in the chat.
perfect.
You guys get your white knight out of my freezer burn. God damn it!
Hey, he can join.
Never.
John can entire team Ruby for all I care. Maybe minus Blake.
It's
But,
just,
anyway.
just like John
So-
conquers Remnant.
So here's the other thing too. Also, is the other thing too with Vernal's weapon is like we've seen the first instance of beam dust weaponry too with Vernal's weapon.
Yeah.
She's got a
Yeah,
laser
apparently.
beam. All the other dusts have been like
I'm a fire in my laser.
yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. I was surprising to say the least. I was not expecting that.
Also, I do like Vernal's. Like, I was liking Vernal's voice actor more and more, and I actually really liked her in this episode where she's just sitting there looking at it. It's like, did you really expect me not to let you summon that? And she's sitting
She's
there
just
like,
being all smug. Yeah,
Yeah.
just a smug bitch.
I don't know. I blame Fat Man's Abridged thing because every time like Vernal talks, I hear Miley Cyrus.
oh,
Yeah.
That's why
I
I, don't
think
watch these videos.
I think on the whole though, I think a lot of problems with this episode would have been solved had there been teamwork.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
instead of like what is it, 7 or 8 one-on-one fights, have
Yeah.
like 4 2-on-2 fights.
Yeah.
Yep.
And here's the okay. the other thing
Have
that pisses me off.
Crow and Raven versus Oscar Crow and Oscar versus Raven and Lionheart. Have Mercury and Emerald versus Yang, and I would like Weiss, but Ruby just for the sake of
Team partners.
staying with this episode.
and then
and-
Weiss fighting,
And then
Vernal by herself.
Weiss and John fighting the maidens, and then Ren and
I'd be
Aura
okay with that.
fighting Hazel because
Hazel.
Hazel is worth 2 people.
Because you would think with
Yeah.
what
But so-
would think with what plans that Raven has that Vernal would want to like watch Cinder fight because that's a potential foe that she has to feel. But here's the other thing too. Also, is like we're talking like whatever the next episodes happen is like. It's like, what is the plan? So
Yeah.
how does
Where are they
Raven
going from
actu-
here?
How does
Yeah.
Raven actually? Because this is what's gonna hurt. This is what's gonna make this a Volume 2 ending versus a Volume 3 ending.
Mm.
Is one, how the fuck? And so the question is like, what are they gonna pull out of their ass to make it to where they survive this fight relatively intact? Two,
Yeah.
how the
Winter Ex Machina.
yeah, no, I was gonna say
I
Blake
wouldn't.
X, Blake X Machina, but
That's
I kind of
that's the only thing I could think of. This whole episode, both times I watched it, thinking Winter Ex Machina, Winter Ex Machina.
like this because you see, I'm seeing this episode and I'm sitting there and I'm like, it makes me wish that it's like this is making me want the Atlas intervention. Like I want the Atlas intervention to happen. Like I want Blake to show up and start fighting the guys outside, and they're like doing okay, but then Atlas starts showing up and just starts like drop podding in.
And they
troops.
actually get shit done.
Yeah, it starts drop podding in troops like right into the center of the freaking place. Like they're coming through the roof and like
Yeah.
landing.
I don't think that's what's gonna happen. I think what's gonna happen is Jean Semwitz is gonna come out, and that's what's gonna save Weiss, and then they're gonna have to run the fuck away, and they're gonna lose, and that's what's gonna happen.
Who knows?
And
But also, like, what's
Raven?
How is Raven planning to steal the relic here? Like, what's her plan exactly?
Fucking, I don't know.
So like yeah, that's the other thing too. Also, it's like how the fuck is Raven actually going to do this? Because if
Yeah,
anything,
since
would
she's gotten
want-
herself all involved in this fight with Crow.
She would actually want it would be in her best interest for Ruby Crow and company to be
win.
win.
Yeah, to be
doing
winning
well
here
in
and to be
this
doing well.
engagement, because then whatever it rolls over,
Yeah,
Raven and Vernal
they can slip away.
have to fight Hazel, and they have to fight a maiden at the same time too. Also,
Yeah.
Also we forgot to mention too. Also, Ruby used her silver eye powers as she like
Yeah.
autistically
She
screeched
tried to
no.
use it.
Yeah, as she autistically screeched no in a
It straight sounds like she's
PTSD.
going. "Nyeh."
And so here,
God.
okay,
Yeah,
so here,
because-
so this
And
is
I don't even know why. Like, Jean and Cinder are running at each other, and Cinder has a slightly scarier sword than usual. Like, how did that make me think, oh my gosh, he's gonna die?
oh my gosh, John,
Especially because he was actually kind of holding his own up until then, even though Cinder was probably toying with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cinder's going with him.
So here's the thing though. So this is my theory, which I feel is probably right now. So whatever it comes to the maidens, the Silver Eye powers are a dispel effect. So now in Cinder's case, Cinder is especially vulnerable to the powers of the Silver Eyes because this is my theory, which I feel like I'm getting more and more right with every by the end of this volume, it'll probably I feel like I'll be real right about this. So the reason why Cinder is so vulnerable to the Silver Eye powers is that whenever Ruby did her Silver Eye powers the first time, she basically destroyed Cinder's arm. And so Cinder's covered arm is basically just like a grim arm, like
Did she use that covered arm in this episode at all?
no,
Oh,
she doesn't.
No.
That's
So
one thing I
here-
didn't
like-
notice, but
So
that's cool.
here's the thing, though. Whenever the Silver Eye powers go off, it knocks Cinder out of her. It makes her weapon go away, and then she also goes to the ground, clutching her left arm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
left
goes to the ground, clutching her left arm. And so, from what we can infer and assume, the Silver Eye powers are hazardous to Grimm because it fucking froze a damn the big dragon Grimm. So, and then also, I would assume that it dispel the way that I would do it is that, in my opinion, the Silver Eye powers are anti-magic. So, and that's what makes them dangerous against the maidens is though, because if you take away a maiden's powers, then it's just a normal huntswoman at that point.
Right.
So,
But that also.
So for me, I'm waiting for the reveal. Whenever she uses that arm, this is kind of what I wished would happen is John is about to get that strike off, but then Cinder uses her Eldritch Horror arm to grab John and suplex him over instead of John just crumpling over because I guess he was out of breath or something.
That was so stupid.
It was a wild lunge.
Why did?
Yeah, it was a
But
wild.
then he just lies there all winded. It's all like, get the fuck up. You should not be tired.
Why do you
Yeah.
not have a secondary? Do you not have like a pocket knife that you could pull? Like
Yeah.
seriously,
It's like, he should have decapitated her. He should have tried to decapitate her. Why did he lunge at her? He should be better at this. He has been at this for over a fucking year. He should not be this weak or this disappointing.
So here's the thing though, it's like I carry on a daily basis, I carry 2 pocket knives and a gun. I carry one of those pocket knives for work purpose, and the other pocket knife is if anyone ever tries to grab my gun, I have something to poke them with to get them off.
Yeah.
So like I'm sitting there thinking, it's like, okay, obviously Red has his dad's knife that did more work than any of his guns ever did in the entire show. Like,
How many times did it say that he needs a new gun?
what is stopping John from like, oh hey, you know what? I'm gonna stop at the market. And I'm gonna buy a cool knife too, also like you. Like I would have appreciated that struggle scene more if John was sitting there, because like
If he stabbed her in the foot or something like that when she stepped on him.
Tries to stab her or something, and then Cinder is just like, well, watch this, and she like melts his knife like in his hand pretty much. So here's the other thing too. Also, I actually really liked Unhinged John.
Yeah.
I like Unhinged John quite a bit.
Yeah.
So this is the other problem too. Also,
that's
But
where one of the places where we disagree.
so here's the other thing too. Also, is like John, like if John is so much of a anime protagonist hero right now, where he's like, it's okay if I die, I just don't want my friends to die. That's such an easily exploitable character trait. It's not funny.
Except I don't even think that I don't know, I feel like maybe it sounds like an anime protagonist thing, but not really, because he's like, and this is
buying time for what?
Yeah, he's sitting there.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, exactly. It's like, and also just like this out of nowhere death. First of all, yeah, she says you're a fool with a death wish. Since when does he have a death wish? Like, again, that's not what we got.
She's just taunting him because, like, oh, if you're up against me, you must have a death wish. Maybe,
but it's like, okay, we got the idea that like he was fighting, but I don't know. But then how he responds and stuff like that, like I don't. It's essentially saying I don't matter, I don't care if I die, kind of confirms that yeah, he kind of has a death wish and stuff like that. He doesn't care. He doesn't even care about like avenging Pyrrha. That to me is like a huge digression from what we got from him in Volume 1, which was, and like again, you know, we all know the bully arc was bullshit. Like the bully arc was bullshit, and like a lot of what went down in that scene was a mess. But I did like the fact that he said, I'm tired of being the lovable idiot stuck in the tree while his friends fight for their lives. In this, he's kind of regressed, and now he's just like, you know, he's just like, yeah, I'm perfectly fine with dying as long as I can buy other people, you know, time and stuff like that. Like that's a complete regression from the guy who wanted to be a hero. And if they do something with, and like, I don't know, maybe it'll be a good thing. Maybe they'll do something with that. Maybe that they'll make that like a part of his character arc where he'll, like maybe that'll be his character.
And he's like, man, I really fucked up here.
Yeah, and like where somebody basically says to him, you know, you're not just a distraction. You know, this isn't what Pyrrha trained you for. You do, you know, you matter beyond all of this and stuff like that. Like, hopefully that's what they do. But right now, my biggest fear is that they're just building him up to I don't know. And this is like not really a prediction because I really hope that this doesn't happen. But to possibly kind of pull a Chio with him and have him sacrifice himself to save Weiss and stuff like that, which would be bullshit.
So
anyway,
here's what
we'll talk about that.
So basically, I mean, and then that leads into the part where Weiss. So Vernal depletes
takes out Weiss's
aura in a very cheeky but clever attack where like there were locked weapons and she's like laser beam and she's like, man, oh shit, that hurt.
Yeah.
And then John is like, oh fuck, it's happening again. It's happening.
Yeah.
Sitting there watching is like, oh, or is another one girl gonna die?
Okay.
God damn it! This is the one thing that pissed me off the most about this episode. Cinder didn't throw a spear. The way that they animated her throwing that was the equivalent of some like random person throwing a paper airplane.
Oh, I know. It was so pathetic.
I'm sitting there. That was
Yeah.
like I was whenever I was watching that on my phone. Which God forbid you try to watch these episodes on your phone. It's a fucking nightmare.
I don't.
So
I had to one time.
Yeah.
so here's
I did that with a couple chibi episodes.
So, oh God. So here's the thing though with that injury. So where Weiss was hit was the
right side of her body, right under her boob.
Yeah. So it's either there's two depending on. It's either going to be a punctured lung, B a punctured liver, or even a punctured kidney. The punctured lung is survivable. The punctured lung is survivable. The punctured liver is pretty survivable too, but you're gonna bleed out over time. Punctured kidney, you'll just bleed out internally in about a few minutes. So here's the
Not a good day to be Weiss.
Yeah. So here's the thing though. If Cinder wanted to kill Weiss outright, she would have. And also, I'll say this right now. Also, fuck Rooster Teeth for like literally being like, haha, look, this shot's almost exactly the same. Whatever, Pyrrha slumped over and got fucking vaporized. And Pyrrha was basically incinerated from the inside fucking out. She was incinerated. She was being burned alive from the inside out. This was confirmed in a Q&A before the season started.
Okay.
So if Cinder wanted to kill Weiss outright, she would have. But Weiss, if she doesn't seek medical help in if she doesn't get medical help quickly, it ain't looking good for her. Even if the flaming spear, which kind of looks like Pyrrha's spear, cauterized the wound, a punctured lung, you'll stop being able to breathe soon because the blood's filling up the chest cavity, and then it'll deflate your lungs.
Well, for one thing, let's watch them not actually address any of that specifically.
Oh, in the next episode?
Oh, if
not address the potential medical ramifications, like the specific medical ramifications.
Well, here's I'll be real honest with you guys. Whenever I saw the first thing that came to mind after I saw Weiss take the spear was I'm just sitting there and it's like, okay, we're going to Atlas next in the next volume. Because I'm like, oh, we're gonna have to get her medical treatment because that isn't something you just like sit and that sort of injury isn't something you sit in like a hospital bed for a few months to get better. That's like you sit in a hospital bed for a few months and then you go to frickin' rehab for almost a year to get better.
Yeah.
So
I mean, more focus on Weiss would be okay, but then it also makes me worried that when they start focusing on her, they're gonna ruin her.
Like they did.
Like they focused with Oscar.
Yeah, like they did with Blake and with Oscar, and any character that they like and they think is good and they think is important and they put them as a focus, they fucking ruin them. All the characters on the side, i.e., Renora and Weiss, those are the characters that they did well. So it's like, look, like Raven's a focus now. Raven's gone to shit.
Yeah.
Raven used to be interesting, and now she's not. Now I fucking can't stand her. Like I didn't she was a bad guy, but I enjoyed her character. She doesn't make any sense anymore.
She used to be a third party, and now she's not a third party anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
God damn it, dude.
But
so I think we pretty much wrapped up everything whenever it comes to this episode.
I have a few more complaints if I can get a rant box again.
You could.
Can I have a box?
Robert gets to go first, and then Dude gets to go, and then I think after this, let's get into predictions.
Okay.
And then, it's more not predictions, but let's just say of like the worst shitty way that they could frickin'
fix
this. The question is that what will make or break this episode is how RWBY and company survive this engagement. That's the real question.
It's what happens next episode is the big thing.
And so,
Robert, it's all you.
Thanks. So I have I don't know. like I said, every time characters opened their mouths this episode, it pissed me off. And so, with this episode, we're supposed to assume that, I don't know, this episode felt really half-baked in a lot of ways, partly with, like, the fight scenes and stuff like that, but also with just, like, the build-up to it. It felt like there was no... In a volume that is where they've had nothing but characters just standing around and talking, all of these, like, matchups are supposed to mean something to us, but we kind of have to, like, look back and think to ourselves, wait a minute, oh yeah, okay, I see why this matters. Like Mercury and Emerald, or Mercury and Yang going at it and stuff like that. We're like, oh yeah, they had that one issue that one time. And then, like, I don't know, with Crow and Raven being siblings, and Cinder pissed off Jean. Oh, and like I remember seeing Jean get all pissed off at Cinder and start yelling at her, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you're in this," because he's been like disappeared this entire last volume, for most of this volume, and then like Cinder starts taunting him with the fact that Weiss might die in front of him and stuff like that, and I'm assuming that what we're supposed to take away from that is, oh no, this is going to be really terrible for Jean because it's going to be like losing Pyrrha all over again, only this time he's going to have to watch. And I was like, so wait, like, I'm pretty sure, in fact, I even did a poll on RWBY Amino asking people, like, more than half of the fandom figured Jean was over Weiss at this point. So, like, we're supposed to think that, like, oh no, he's going to lose someone else that he really cares for. But, like, that hasn't been touched on since volume fucking 2. You couldn't have taken any time during all that pointless standing around and talking for them to have just a brief moment that lets us know, yes, Jean still cares about her, but he's not really, thinking romantically at this point. He's still down about Pierre or something like that, something along those lines to remind us about that. So, like, it just, I don't know. Even though we knew like this was going to happen, we were told this was going to happen 2 episodes ago, this still doesn't feel properly prepared for, properly, I don't know, built up to. And then the good guys kind of deserve everything that went wrong here. They completely fucked up because Oscar and Crow knew that something was wrong. They knew that they figured they were probably walking into a trap because they knew Lionheart was up to something, that something was not right. And they still walk in, and they still bring in all of these people, 3 of which they could have left outside or something like that. Lionheart wouldn't have questioned it because he didn't know they were there. And you could have still, like, they didn't make any preparation for any kind of possible ambush. Even if, like, they left those 3 outside and then Hazel, walked them all in afterwards, or they had, like, separate battlefields, that might have helped them to not have to separate things. Or something along those lines, like...
Cut all the corners.
There was no... I don't know. At least make it seem like Crow and Ozpin were trying to be prepared for this, and they were thinking. And again, with the whole... We talked about this.
So I'm gonna have to derail you for just a second.
Go for it,
Robert. So would this episode would have been better if, like, per se, Weiss and Yang stayed outside and then end up getting in a confrontation with the members of the White Fang trying to plant the bombs?
Yeah, something like that, or like they get forced in by them and stuff like that. They, like, have to come running in because they can't take on their numbers or something like that. Like, even if Crow's plan of having them hang out outside didn't work, at least it feels like they're trying to make it hard for the villains. At least it makes it seem like, they're putting some thought into this whole mess. And
then, like, at that point, like, Raven, like, Vernal would just be standing there and, like, waiting for the moment to, like, run off and grab the relic. And then you would have, like, the moment, like, let's say they busted, like, right as Ruby's getting, like, knocked out.
Maybe.
And then that's what keys into the fight between, like, Vernal and like, everyone else.
Yeah, because I get that, you know, you needed to have the fight between Null and Weiss and Jean and Cinder going in the same room at least so that Jean can have his freak out, and also, you know, Ruby versus Emerald, that needed to happen in the same place so that Ruby can have her freak out. But it's like, I don't know, just something to make it feel like Crow and Ozpin aren't just begging, aren't completely inept idiots. And and it's one of those things that Ozpin continues to just, I don't know, continues to just be a worthless character. And we talked about this earlier, how Ozpin robs characters of their agency, and it's kind of funny and kind of ironic because I've spent this last week kind of having this debate with a guy on the YouTube channel who claims that, like, I don't know, and I still disagree with him on. He claims that Salem is a freedom fighter trying to free people from the tyranny of Ozpin. I don't buy that at all. Salem has never said anything.
Here, I disagree with that statement as well.
Yeah, no, yeah. Salem has said nothing about freedom or anything like that. She's made it very clear that she has no problem killing people. She just wants to kill Ozpin because he hurt her feelings one time and stuff like that. So that's bullshit. But Ozpin does, like we said, Ozpin is just robbing characters of their agency and stuff like that by being here. And he really, and again, yeah, and again, like, we're now at this confrontation. Jean still hasn't confronted Ozpin about any of the bullshit that he pulled, that he pulled with Pyrrha. And, like, to me, the perfect way for this season to end is for Jean or someone to deck Ozpin in the face, Oscar in the face, and say, and you know what? Also, I'm sorry, Crow, but this volume has kind of ruined you too, because you knew what was going on too, and you fucked up too. Punch Oscar and Crow in the face and just say, fuck both of you. We don't need either of you.
We're taking orders from freaking Ironwood now.
Or just, we're doing things our way. We're not doing things either of your guys' way anymore because you guys just fucked everything up. You guys are terrible leaders, so we don't need you anymore. Like, that to me would be the perfect ending. So, yeah, this episode did not feel proper. Like, this volume and this episode highlighted how half-baked this volume feels and how poorly set up it's been. And Ozpin continues to just ruin everything. So that's my rant.
Yeah, I got a little more technical rant, and it's
go for it.
Freaking
same crap, Nick, but I'm not gonna stop you immediately.
Yeah, let me go. I won't be too long, and then
but like you dude go, and then we'll have media drop some knowledge bombs on us. Give us the basic assault.
Go for it.
So Robert already thankfully brought up the doing anything impossible thing, which goddamn that pissed me off. Also, why did Cinder not just like kill the fuck out of RWBY straight out of the portal? Like, why she just kind of knock her down? I feel like that was
because they want her alive. But
oh, that's right, that's true. Okay, well, that
because Aura, maybe that is as hard as Cinder could have hit her.
Why does everybody have stupid fucking Street Fighter intro for these fight scenes? That was fucking annoying. Like, especially versus Weiss. That was terrible. Holy shit, that was just fucking painful. I know they thought they were being clever with it, but goddamn it was not clever at all. It was just really fucking awkward. Why are they asking about a trap when Crow was obviously suspicious? Did he not fucking tell them anything besides bring their weapons? Like, the same problem I mentioned from the previous episode. Again, it's kind of what Robert's like. Again, like, I said this a long time ago, and I was right. Ozpin's fucking everything over because he's an idiot, and he should have died because he's just hand-holding the fuck out of the characters that actually matter. They're not thinking.
And he's hand-holding them into hell.
Into hell.
into bad situation after bad situation.
Yeah, and it seems like the writers don't even realize that. That's the bad thing.
Yeah.
It's... So why are it should be, if Ozpin was dead, then, I don't know, maybe what we wanted for this volume would have happened, which was what happened in fucking Avatar: The Last Airbender's mystery season, which was arguably one of the greatest seasons of TV ever done, and I'm not just talking about animation. Season book 2 of Avatar: The Last Airbender is fucking masterpiece. It is exactly how you make TV. So, and it's the characters making mistakes and figuring things out and struggling to prove that is not what's happening.
Actually doing
at
something.
all here. They're actually doing. These kids are literally sitting around, whereas in Avatar: The Last Airbender, they even make a call out to Toph saying that she's bored and wants to do something, and then they go and do shit. Like, oh my god. Like, this is, they point out that they're bored of waiting. Whereas in RWBY, they're just like, hey, like, what are we doing now? I don't know. Okay.
Here's
clearly they're not training because this training arc does nothing. At the end of a training arc, characters are supposed to be stronger. They're supposed to be better, but they're not.
We had one scene of training.
Yeah, that too.
But it's implied, at least.
Yeah.
What? Also, everything felt like it was in slow motion this episode. I already pointed that out. And the Weiss thing. Now, okay, first of all, if Weiss dies, I am done with the show. If she's confirmed dead next episode, I will be on next week to rant about it, and then I'm done. I won't even be on podcasts anymore because there's no point. I'm not kidding. We said this before, and it's true. I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but when I typed this, I was like, if Weiss dies, this show's ruined. And media wrote a response that was like, he lists the other main characters, and it's, well, Blake's still insufferable.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull that up before I start.
Just pull up exactly what you wrote about that, because it's 100% accurate. If Weiss dies, we're done with the show. Now, it's implied because it's a cliffhanger that she's not going to die. Pretty much any time in any show, not just RWBY, anytime a character is severely injured and you don't see a full death, which we didn't, because she's still breathing. You can tell she's still gasping, and she didn't disintegrate like she didn't disapparate like Pyrrha did. It's implied that she's not actually dead yet, so that probably means she's not going to die. Which, okay, so the show's not 100% ruined, but it's still fairly ruined because the way it happened was really fucking stupid. Like, with the way like Cinder did it is she like you said, she could have just killed her, and she didn't. So why didn't she do that? Doesn't actually make any sense. Like, it would have been so much better
if Jana tripped her up and made her miss a vital organ.
Yes, if they were actually fighting like that. And that's a big problem with this episode, is just everything feels like it's in slow motion. It's like, okay, now we have to cut to this, now we have to do this, now we have to show this. Like, nothing flows, nothing actually makes any sense. It's not compelling in any way. It felt very forced. Like, and I'm fine with characters getting hurt to progress the story and things like that. That's fine. Like, even when Crow got injured, it made more sense. But this just felt awkward and forced. It was really infuriating. I'm not happy with that at all. So, and that was really the only thing that actually happened this episode, and that felt really forced. So that's kind of my point earlier of, well, nothing actually happened. Like, this episode is the first episode where something
they show up at
happens,
they show up at Haven. Happened. The bad guys ambush them. Weiss gets speared.
Yeah, that's all that.
Those are like
happens,
the big. Yeah, those are the big action points of this episode.
Yeah. So my turn now.
So what was it? Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to bring up the animation. It's a little more forgivable here than it was in, say, like the RWBY vs. Auburn fight, because there's twice as many characters involved, which is why they really needed to find a way to space it out, have the 2-on-2 fights like I suggested earlier, have a couple people staying outside, and then they're the ones who fight Hazel, do something, because like the only fight that I liked from this episode was the Oscar versus Leo fight, because it was the only one that didn't like do any continuity breaks between its shots. And but the thing is, like, even that fight, which you would think is the easiest fight to stay isolated and stay like consistent, when RWBY does the like silver eye thing and it does the white shot, Oscar and Leo are gone.
Which, by the way, somehow doesn't hit Vernal.
They vanish.
Anyway.
And it somehow doesn't hit Vernal. And you also got other dumb things like I don't think Jean got hit at all. He basically tripped over himself and was done when he tried stabbing
Yeah.
Cinder.
That's true.
Yeah. He got knocked back once. Yeah.
And if Weiss dies, like, we're left without like an actual protagonist who wants control of their life. Like, who's left? Like, RWBY doesn't do anything, and it sucks because RWBY is the kind of character who would want to be proactive. Like, any time that she's just sitting around, she is out of character. She is the one who, when Osmond said you can't spend your whole life on the battlefield, she's like, yeah, unless I'm going around a lot lately. Like, that was such a
Okay,
great
Snake.
moment.
And keep in mind, if anybody watching who doesn't know this already, Media was like the biggest RWBY apologist in the past, and for him to say this, this volume is bad.
Yeah, go look at my honest look at RWBY video,
which was made for this volume.
Yes, which was made shortly after Volume 4, or like after Volume 4, before Volume 5.
Before Volume 5.
You got Blake. Blake's been doing stuff this volume. Blake's been more tolerable this volume than last volume, but on the whole, she's kind of an insufferable character. And Yang, the only thing interesting about Yang is her relationship with the other characters, which is great for a supporting character. It's even great for like one of the four mains. Like, she is the big sister of the team. She is the one
she's the glue that holds them all together. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the one that when RWBY's down, she goes to Yang. When Blake's down,
Even
she goes
this
to Yang.
volume,
When Weiss is down,
Weiss
she
does
goes
that
to
more
Yang.
than she does.
Yeah, well, RWBY hasn't been feeling down as much. As Weiss. Like, Weiss just had her entire world like ripped from her last volume.
Yeah.
So I love that about Yang, but that's she's actually kind of similar to Boruto in that as she's a good character but would make a terrible lead. Boruto runs into that same problem. Because the only thing interesting about them is their relationship with the other major characters. Like who's left? Like Jean, Oscar. Like, come on, just Weiss right now is the best character.
They keep bouncing forth between giving up on Jean and trying to make him work.
Like they can't afford to get rid of Weiss. Not yet, anyway. Not until a lot of the other characters make some serious improvements. Which hopefully will happen.
They could even just get. Weiss doesn't even have to die for them to get rid of her. She could just like take control of the.
No, I'd be fine.
Company.
I'd be fine if she gets like written out as far as fights go and is like hospitalized, and it's kind of like Rock Lee after his fight with Gaara, like in between his fight with Gaara and his fight with Kimimaro, where he's like with the crutches and stuff. Like, I would be fine with Weiss going through that kind of recovery arc. They were supposed to do that kind of with Yang.
That would actually continue to make her have to develop. And,
I kind of did that.
That would give her something to grow through and to.
Yes, that would give her something to grow through. So I'd be fine with that as well. But killing her is going to destroy the show.
Yeah, I kind of did.
It's already hanging by strings.
And you can't kill one of your main leads like that, especially when she has.
Let's put it this way: this show is literally hanging by Weiss right now. She's the only character.
She's the one. Yeah, she's the thread that the show is hanging from. Yeah,
which is hilarious because everyone hated her. Mostly everyone.
A lot of people still do for some stupid. Not a lot of people. There's a few people who still do because they're idiots. But yeah,
those people are all wrong. Because she's the only character right now that is not either pointless or not doing what she's supposed to be doing or badly written. She's the only well-written character that's still relevant. Red and Nora were very well written. Their relationship is extremely well done. I still believe that, but they've been pointless this whole month. So they've
been sidelined, which for them it's not as big of a crime. It's not as big of a crime for them to get sidelined as it is for RWBY to get sidelined.
No, it's not. That's 100% true. I agree entirely. But that's the point, is that the only character that's still relevant and a good character is Weiss. So you kill her, there's nothing left to watch in the show.
And by the way,
in Blake's defense, this volume, it has not been her fault. It's been the White Fang's fault.
Yeah, that's
The
fair.
White Fang
Sure.
have been the ones wearing the idiot hat this volume.
She's
Yeah.
still fairly
But-
insufferable, but she's not the biggest problem.
Yeah, but something. Speaking of Ren and Nora, something I forgot to mention, or just another. I don't know. So Hazel stops Ren and Nora, or Ren and Nora get ready to fight Hazel, and he's all like, I don't want to fight either of you. It's like, no, you just want them to stay in the building while it blows up. I don't know.
Yeah,
The whole pacifist facade feels kind of broken for him now.
It makes him
It
feel a
does.
little one note.
Yeah.
Like he's just,
Yeah.
nobody has to die today, boy.
Now he just
and
feels
that's and
now he
that's his
just feels
one
kind of like
gear.
Shikamaru and stuff like that. He's just lazy and stuff like that. Wants to get through things with minimal effort and stuff like that.
Hey, I've got a
But
question.
Shikamaru is
So,
still way more cool. But anyway,
I do like his voice actor though.
I
this
don't.
is
I didn't mind that too much, but I just thought it was kind of funny.
This is extremely off topic, but didn't someone like grab a screen grab from, was it this volume or the past volume, where like Blake's scar is actually visible for like a few frames?
Maybe. Or scar from
tried-
when
I
Adam
do remember
stabbed
that.
her?
I don't know what the screenshot is though.
Oh
But
yeah,
yes,
some people
yes,
are
you are
talking
true.
about
Yeah.
that. Yeah, how did Blake was just fine after getting stabbed by in the abdomen by Adam, but Weiss is less okay.
Who are
I
like,
don't think the
"Oh,
two
she
are
got
that
stabbed
comparable.
in her womb, and so now she can't have kids. And like, nah, that it wasn't down south enough.
Yeah, I don't think it was. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I
definitely
don't
was
think they're
not.
comparable.
Yeah, but
So-
anyway,
definitely
as
not.
far as like a Weiss recovery arc goes, I actually did something similar to that with my fanfiction, Ruby on Home, or not Ruby on Home, Ruby on War.
Oh,
In Ruby on War, she early on in the story she finds out that she's pregnant, so she gets kind of like written out of all the action scenes, but she still tries to get involved using her finances and her technology resources, and she actually like comes to Patch to like watch over things, and then gets
And if a
and then gets
character-
kidnapped.
and if a character could like, yeah, and Weiss is the kind of character that could potentially do that. That could get written out of the action scenes, but then proceed to, do things like run
Bankroll
more of
everyone.
a political show and stuff like that, and more of a more of a political and corporate show from behind the scenes. Like that would, that could be interesting and
I
stuff
always
like
felt
that.
I always
And,
felt like that was
And
kind of like
that's kind
Weiss's
of-
ultimate
and
goal.
that's kind of what her character has always wanted to. That's what she's always wanted to do.
I feel
essentially.
I feel like that was always her goal. Like she wants the Schnee Dust Company to be like what it was when her grandfather was in charge, when she was like not just the one running the company, but the one like running everything and like actually going down in the mines with the people and just supervise, even if it's just supervising them and protecting them from Grimm. Like I always felt like that's what Weiss's ultimate motivation was.
Yeah, and so a character that sidelining them to something like that wouldn't work. Sidelining a character to say a hospital room wouldn't work for is Jean. This is why, I guess if we're going to go into predictions here and talk about like, I don't know, talk about how they can save Weiss. If Jean turns out to have a healing semblance, they might. I'm not sure if I really trust Miles and Carrie to do this, to be able to pull this off, but they might turn him into a Katara-like healer, where he's a healer and he kicks ass. But my fear is that they'll turn him into a Sakura-type healer, where he will be completely useless, maybe occasionally try to do something combat-related, but other than that, be completely useless, while also, and only be useful as a healer. And that would be a complete and total, again, he would just be up in the tree again, watching people fight for their lives, jumping in when they need him. That would be like, so that is why I am terrified by the idea of them giving him a healing semblance. Again, maybe they can make him Katara, maybe they can do a Katara with him, but I don't trust them not to. I feel like they would pull a Sakura with him. And
my hope.
Saki is scaring me, but I
am not amused right now.
I understand that Kishimoto fucked up Sakura. I understand
I know,
that.
it's
I
just-
understand.
It's like, oh, hey, useless healer. It's like useless healer. Oh, let's just automatically slap the Sakura label on everyone.
I'm sorry, but I understand. I
We
understand
need
that
to do a Naruto
Kishimoto
podcast
fucked up
sometime.
with Sakura. I understand.
Even I've never watched an actual episode of Naruto, and
Okay.
even I know that Sakura is famous for being useless.
Yeah, I know.
We
it's
need
just-
to. We need
And
to
so-
do that
God's not
podcast.
used-
And I understand.
Damn it.
I understand. And this is why I use her as the example, though, because I understand that her character was fucked up big time. Okay, that her character had all the potential in the world. She was the first like when Kakashi says, "Okay, guys, you guys need to get ready for this upcoming fight. So I need you guys to figure out chakra control." And then she mastered it in seconds, and she was really good at it, like immediately, and then got relegated to guard duty. I understand that they fucked up with her, and that's why I'm using her as the example,
Yeah.
because I don't want to see them do the same thing with Jean. I don't want to see them fuck up his character, because again, he's a character with so much potential. He wants to be a hero. He wants to be a fighter. So just sticking him in the hospital room like Kishimoto did to Sakura would be an awful thing to do. So I
So,
know you like
my
Sakura.
hope-
I like her too. I like the potential that she had. I understand that they fucked her up. I don't want to see the same thing
Yeah.
happen to Jean.
My
So,
my hope
Dude,
is that
the hospital room works for Weiss. It doesn't work for Jean.
yeah.
yeah.
My hope is that they do something a little more creative, a little more interesting, and actually take a page out of Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, and have
Yeah.
that kind of
Right,
be
you
Jean's
wonder about that.
semblance.
Or Oscars. Like that might
I
be
think it would make more sense for Oscar to have that power than Jean, but
since
you know,
since it was kind of hinted that Ospin had like time
time
powers
stuff.
or something like that. Yeah. But so yeah,
But
if
also-
they do, yeah.
But also, who
So-
cares
They
about
should,
Oscar?
if they do what, yeah, if they do end up making Jean a healer, they should make him the kind of character that Sakura should have been and that Katara was.
So here's the thing. So I don't know if y'all have watched the WoW cinematic for the new WoW expansion.
Yeah, I have seen that.
So this is
Okay.
what I honestly feel like happened is like Anduin Storm was like, oh no, we aren't winning this siege as well. The power of the light is like as the light fills him and he's like like doing his thing and he's just like so here this is okay. So let's okay. So are we in just speculation of next episodes now?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to tie it into. Yeah.
All right, so this is what it's gonna be. So next episode's gonna be a Blake episode, whether we like it or not. Let's be real honest with
No,
ourselves here, real quick.
I don't want it. No.
So speaking of a Blake episode,
Don't worry, I'm fine with it.
so yeah. So here's
I'm not. Anyway.
So here's the thing. Knowing Miles and Carrie, they're gonna be like, okay, we like at this point, we like this. It's perfectly fine if Blake just shows up with her army
Yes.
at
It is.
Mistral. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah. We do not need a scene of her traveling to Mistral.
Yeah,
Anyway.
or like the boat lands in the harbor and everyone's like running off the boat or something. Like that's fine. Like then, because I feel like what would be fine is like it's like for example, like in the third Lord of the Rings movie, whenever Legolas, the dwarf, and the Ranger Man show up at the
Yeah.
port, and they're like the orcs are like, oh look at this ship, and it's like oh it's whatever, just three dudes, and like oh fuck it's a bunch of ghosts.
Yeah. I would not mind something like that. Yeah.
No, I honestly wouldn't. Where like there's just a bunch of white fake mercs, and they're like, oh, it's just a bunch of people that everyone else is spilling out of the boat, and they're like, oh
Blake
fuck.
shows up and they're just like, fuck. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So here's
Right.
this is what's gonna make or break the episode. So how is Ruby and company going to survive this encounter? So the worst thing for me, the worst thing that would happen would be for me, and this is a JoJo spoiler here, is if Ozpin does a Killer Queen and then travels back in time earlier that day and then warns them of what's actually going to happen.
Yeah.
That would be the worst. the other worst thing that has come to mind, and this came from a 4chan post on RWBY Co. with a supposedly fired RT employee, but this is coming from 4chan, so take everything with like a pile of like salt. Is that apparently whenever Ruby's knocked out, the spirits of Penny and Pyrrha are going to be talking to her as
Which
she's knocked.
why?
Yeah,
What would that
exactly.
what would that solve? What would that
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, so this is
Yeah.
the other thing too.
Like they're
also
going to
is-
encourage her or something like that. What encouragement does she need?
So here
It's not
is,
like when
that's-
Prim met Abraham and he named her the next Guardian.
and so
Unless
here's
they did
that's
some kind of weird thing like with.
But
like,
here's
Yamato.
in all honesty, here's the other thing too. Also, knowing Miles and Carrie, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they pulled some bullshit like that as Ruby's knocked out, where she's like, "Oh, gets a hallucination or something like that." So let's try to ground ourselves.
Done with that thought.
I guess they did have that whole thing, and I guess that would kind of touch on
Which
that
they
whole thing
completely
with Volume
dismissed, and they were
2.
like, "Oh,
Last episode in episode 2.
They completely dismissed that as just a cool camera effect in the in like
Ruby
some
hearing
sort of-
Pyrrha's voice.
No, just like
Or
all
what
the
do you
shit,
mean?
all the shit floating around on the screen
Oh,
was
okay.
was a cool camera effect. So this is for me. This is the way. Like, if I try to put myself in Miles and Carrie's shoes, this is the way that I would put it. I would feel that so the way that it would happen would be is that so they attempt to break up the fights to some degree where like Yang like goes to grab like Weiss, and they all try to like regroup together, like they're trying to pull like their wounded back to where, so they probably try to grab like Weiss, and then they're gonna grab Ruby and be like, okay, it's like we're pulling up, it's like then they're trying to defend him. So this then will probably lead to a point to where either where like that's whenever the plot of where like Raven tries to deceive everyone kicks into effect. So here's the thing though. So the way I see it is a few things happen. So at this point, like what our inferred assumption is of John's semblance is the ability to heal someone. So the way that I buy this is that either John will do one of two things. It will either be where whenever they like pull their wounded back, John gets hands on Weiss, and then is like, oh, this is all my fault, blah blah blah, and then like heals Weiss. Or B, whenever like going from the World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth cinematic, where like something snaps inside John, and then John is like just heals the entire group. Which feels like to a degree, it's a very severe cop out. But then we stopped caring about John's semblance a long time ago. So
Boy, did we!
So then there's that. But then also too, so we have two Deus Ex Machinas that were. So Blake is the Deus Ex Machina in this situation. So Blake, I'm assuming whenever Blake shows up, Blake is going to have to deal with trying to disarm all the bombs everywhere. And that's a lot of bombs too, also on the CCTV, which I don't understand why they're trying to blow that up, other than probably for like symbolic reasons. I'm assuming we'll probably get another Blake, Sun, and Adam fight. Maybe, probably. The other Deus Ex Machina is obviously John, and then we could potentially have a Atlas intervention as a Deus Ex Machina, which at this point I would be perfectly fine with an Atlas intervention at this point.
Yeah.
Like I want
should be fine with. I'm fine with Winter Ex Machina.
Yeah, I'm fine with Winter showing up with just airships just landing and just like spilling out troops, and people are fast roping off of stuff, and like drop pods are landing, and the Atlesian Knights are just landing out of the sky, and they're just killing people, like killing White Fang members wholesale. So,
Because let's be honest, we don't care about the White Fang anymore.
no, the White Fang is
No,
ISIS
no.
at this point. So, like,
Here's the thing, though. Here's what's actually what I think is going to happen. It's Jean's healing semblance when Deus Ex Machina will be the first thing, and then they'll realize that they're losing. They'll have to retreat at about that same time, or they'll keep fighting for a little bit longer. But either way, Blake and her gang are going to show up, and they're going to have to disarm the bombs, like you said. And they're going to go do that, and then Blake is going to run into Adam. She's going to start fighting him, and maybe she's probably going to lose again. And then Sun is gonna go and save her, and then that's gonna be like the thing where like Gear actually has respect for Sun at that point, and then they're gonna lose again, and then they're gonna run away. That's what I'm pretty sure is gonna happen. And it's whether that's what happens or not, I don't really care, because either way, this volume's proving that no matter what they do, they're gonna do it poorly. So it doesn't really matter what happens, because it's not gonna be good. It's been shit the whole time, so I don't really care. That's just my guess, though.
Yeah.
Or it's gonna take until like the very last episode for Blake to show up. But I don't think so. I think they're finally having her actually do shit now. So she'll show up, but it's just gonna be that stuff, and they're gonna run away, and they're gonna lose, and then they have to go to like Atlas or Vacuo next, and then everybody's gonna spend the next million years trying to figure out the next several months. Oh, which one are they going to? Which one are they going to? And we're just gonna be sitting here going, well, it doesn't really matter because it's not gonna be done well either way. Who really gives a fuck where they're going? It'll probably be Atlas if Weiss is injured, though. That's really all you have to look into it for. And there you go. I'm done.
So, yeah, I think Jean Semblance, Weiss being a trigger for Jean Semblance is really good. I actually kind of like that. If that's the route that they go, if it's Jean that ends up saving her, I like that, and I kind of like if Jean saves her life.
Down with White Knight,
she
dude. Totally down
owes
with White Knight.
him. She at least owes him a date. She owes
I
him
would
a
say
chance.
more than a date. Like
I
I'd be
would
like,
too.
I'm putting a baby in you. That's fake.
Oh.
This is still
What will he
PG-13.
saving?
like in your fanfiction media.
Shut up.
Either end where Weiss
Shut up.
fucked up. Weiss better be pregnant by the end of this, or I'm taking away your mod status.
But
It's open ended. Maybe I'll do another chapter. Maybe I won't. But oh man, I don't know. So as I think Blake is gonna show up next episode, and I think they're gonna start fighting the White Fang. And I think there's gonna be a big fight with Adam starting next episode. And then the episode after that, the fights start getting resolved. And so we got like what, 3 more episodes?
Yeah.
So yeah, so we got like the Blake fight and then like a little bit of this fight that's going on in this episode just to keep that tension, keep that dramatic stuff going, like they did with Crow. Last one where they showed a little bit of him in every episode after he got poisoned until that plotline got resolved and didn't amount to anything. Even though it kind of did because he was poisoned, he wasn't able to help out with the nuclear. The only problem with that whole Crow bit from Volume 4 was Tyrion saying, "Oh, he's as good as dead. My poison is unstoppable," but it takes like a week, and there's very easy antidotes. Like if he gets the antidote, he'll be up and walking and fighting and stuff within like an hour. Because, oh my god, that I go through that.
Tops.
We're like everything that happened in the last half of Volume 4 in the first episode of Volume 5 happened all in one day.
God damn it! Here's why I want to see. If I get robbed of Dr. Watts' killbots, I will be upset.
We'll get them eventually.
They're out there.
And so we'll have mostly Blake next episode, and then the episode after that, I think because of like what's going on, I think Cinder is going to try targeting RWBY. Then either I want it to be Hazel being like, "No, go get the relic. Go over Vernal and get the relic."
Yeah.
That's
And
when the
Cin-
betrayal
Cinder
will happen.
and Cinder tries like going like, "No, I'm gonna kill RWBY." And then whatever happens.
And then like Raven grabs her or something like that. Is like, we're going.
Yeah, I want them to be like in the vault door by the time when Raven actually turns. Um.
Yeah.
And then the finale.
The finale.
I
I'll
don't
be
know
frank.
what Are they going to even have Grimm in this volume?
I
I
don't.
don't know.
I don't think so. So this is how I
The
foresee
the,
it.
the thing is that this volume needs to end with a heroic victory, even if it's a Pyrrhic victory. And yes, I chose that word with full knowledge of what I was
Because
implying.
Volume 3 did not end with a Pyrrhic victory. Not a victory.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Pyrrhic victory
Not even
for Cinder. It was a Pyrrhic victory for Cinder.
Yeah, it was a Pyrrhic victory for Cinder and Salem, not for the good guys in any way, shape, or form. It was not any kind of victory. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
And then from there, the thing is, the heroes need to do something. They need to be able to do something, and to do something, they need to achieve at least on some level. So even if
Yeah,
like
they need to achieve
even if
something.
even if Haven blows up and they fail at that, like keep the casualties to where like there are no casualties. It's just a building that got blown up,
Yeah.
kind of like in spoiler alert for Thor Ragnarok, kind of like what happened at the end of Thor Ragnarok, where it was just the
Yeah.
city that got blown up and everyone.
Yeah.
Like by the time when
It's
Thor
just a
got there,
place.
when Thor got there, people stopped dying.
It's like an ideal special forces operation where it's like we came in, we blew something up, and then we left before anyone realized what exactly happened.
Yeah.
So this is how I foresee the next. So episode 12 is Blake shows up, and then we get the fight between the White Fang and Blake. And some sort of like resolution to what's going on with Weiss. Episode 13 needs to be where like the fight is like ending. So be it where either Ozpin gets captured, RWBY gets captured.
That could be the bigger victory. I would be fine with Oscar getting captured or RWBY getting captured or both. I'd be fine with that. If that's like
Yeah.
the cost of
Honestly,
like victory.
Weiss being injured and captured, I'm fine with that too. Anybody, it doesn't matter.
Something I could possibly see happening is that Jean.
Something tangible that we should actually give a shit about needs to happen. That's what needs to happen.
So and then
Yeah, I
this
said
leads
RWBY
into-
and Oscar because they're the
And
only two people that
something that's
Salem cares about.
Something that's tangible that actually happens that the characters have to be motivated about. There is no personal motivation for any of this shit right now, besides Jean. But
Which
he's
would
just
actually
being
make
himself
RWBY the better candidate. And then you could have her
I
being
could-
like all proactive and stuff, trying to escape.
Yeah,
in Volume
I would
6.
honestly prefer RWBY being captured.
I'm
At
pretty
this
sure we had
point-
this. I'm pretty sure we had
this
this
one-
discussion last year when Tyrion showed up.
With RWBY captured and Weiss injured, man, like there's some stuff that's got to happen. Nora and Ren need to fucking step up, and Jean needs to stop being a little bitch, and Weiss, Blake will have to stop being so insufferable, and they actually have to do shit. Like, you know, they're gonna set themselves up a lot better if they do something like that.
So preferably the fight will like be in its conclusion in episode 13, and then it will end early episode 14, and then we get the rest of episode 14 as like the conclusion part of this, the setting up and conclusion of this volume. So the real question is though, because in all honesty, like at this point, no matter which way it like the cookie crumbles is though, it's like they're gonna have to go like, okay, where are we gonna go next to prevent the next thing from happening, or who do we have to go find and save? Like in my humble opinion, the Mistral arc is done at the end of this volume.
Yep.
Yeah, it better
That's like for all the stuff that like for all the writing on the wall that we had for this volume, does not make any sense for them to try and do and attack Mistral again. If they fail at this, in all honesty, I'll be real frank. I would prefer that Raven gets her hands on the relic. I would be very okay with that. But I kind of want there to be some like bullshit where it's like Raven tries to use the relic and there's some like terrible costume. Like it's like
there's some reason why it doesn't work, or
or
like
Indiana Jones thing going on.
Yeah, like it fucking like I don't want to say like it kills her outright though, but just like she's simply like overloaded by the knowledge that she gained from said knowledge relic. Like it's like it's basically the Judge Judy line where it's like you can't handle the truth, pretty much.
I mean, originally that's not a Judge Judy line, but okay.
But you know what I mean.
That's in a few good men's line, but anyway.
Yes.
So that's kind of where I'm at whenever it comes to this. So in my opinion, if Volume 6 will be hindered if it still stays Mistral, because at this point, like no matter how it ends, it doesn't feel like it's necessary for them to stay at Mistral, which I'm perfectly fine with, in all honesty. Like if we leave Mistral to go to like Atlas or go to Vacuo, or hell, even go back to Vale, and like I'm fine with it at this point. It's just like for all intensive purposes, the Mistral arc should end with this volume.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why it should continue, because if they fail this attack once, or I mean, it's like who knows? So like let's say like with some crazy ass pull that RWBY's able to win, but then like I brought this up on the RWBY Republic Facebook group, and it's like, so if Lionheart dies, it's like he has like by him dying ends up foiling both Salem's plans, Raven's plans, and everyone else's plans if he dies, and assuming the relic isn't taken in the process, because there'll be inquiries, added security, all sorts of other crazy stuff's going to happen. I mean, it's just going to be a big, huge shakeup. So at that point in time,
what I would hope for is that they beat Lionheart, and then Oscar has to stay behind in Mistral and run the Academy as Ozpin. But anyway,
I actually have a thing on that. It's like I'm pretty sure we're going to be in Mistral for another volume, because if you think about it, they've said they have enough material from when Monty was still alive for 12 volumes.
Yeah,
we've had 3 in Beacon. And if
they don't need, but there's no reason for them to
3 in
stay.
Atlas and 3 in Vacuo.
But then, like, why would the story then end in Vacuo? But, yeah.
I'm just saying.
I don't think that's how they would do it. Yeah.
Hope not.
Like if they did it, I don't know, maybe, but it's like it makes more sense to me if they do like I don't know, 3 in Vale and then 2 in the other kingdoms, and then like the next 3 volumes are spent like
dragging Comet trying to fucking beat Salem.
Yeah, or like I don't know, like in Vital or something like that, trying to get playing ambassadors to try and get an army together or something like that to go against her. I don't know, something like that. I don't know, but yeah.
But I'm not saying. I'm just saying, like.
Yeah, but yeah, I get what you're saying, but I don't know. I'm with High Powered. It doesn't make sense for them to stay in Mistral this next volume.
Because if let's just assume that let's assume that let's just say that this is going to happen. So let's say that John ends up healing. So John ends up healing Weiss. What does that do for the fight scene between the parties that are currently at hand? Yeah. Let's say, for example, let's just
depends on.
Let's say John heals Weiss, and Oscar / Ozpin beat Lionheart. So let's just assume that. So if Lionheart has been incapacitated, defeated, killed, whatever, and Weiss is healed, and let's assume that Weiss healings mean that she can't really fight, but she's
out of the woods. She's not dying.
Yeah, she's been stabilized, but she's better, but she's not she is ineffective as a combatant.
John's not a sensu bean.
Yeah, John's not a sensu bean.
Sensu bean.
So let's assuming that once Lionheart gets incapacitated in any way, shape, or form. Because here's
you want to know? I just had a thought. Jean can heal people, but only by kissing them.
Ooh, that'd be great.
And Weiss has to choose between dying and kissing Jean.
But it has to be kissing with tongue, though, because it really doesn't count unless there's tongue.
Someone did point out, actually, that, so I did see one comment where somebody was all like, hey, Weiss is based on Snow White. So, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe he doesn't have to, but, like, Jean kisses her and that, but it's like, dude, did you just steal a kiss from an unconscious girl? What the hell?
No joke, I can honestly see Jean cradling Weiss as she's fading, and that's whenever a semblance activates.
Yeah,
that would be super
that's
dramatic.
What I could
would
see
like that.
Is like, I don't know, something like that. Yeah, he's like cradling Weiss, maybe plants one on her forehead or something like that, and then like he starts glowing, and then she starts going. He's like, what the hell?
No, I can honestly see it where like John's just like holding her body and like pulling her close, and then like that's whenever it's like the powers are just activating, and Sock just looks like he's dead and dejected.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. So
I prefer Lancaster too, and hey, Ruby was very scared for Jean in this episode, so who knows? They could still go either way.
White Knight literally kills my two ships. White Knight literally kills my two ships.
Freezer, Burn, and Lancaster?
Yes, indeed.
Nora fan, so
White Knight is my White Knight is my runner-up. But anyway,
yeah. All right.
So yeah, Jean's probably gonna heal Weiss. So
yeah, I need to peace out in a second. So
okay. But as much as the idea scares me, Jean's probably going to be the one is probably going to heal Weiss, and hopefully I might book a shot to RTX just so I can show up at the convention and be like, so Jean's going to be a Katara type healer, right? He's going to be a badass and a healer, right?
I'm honestly
no spoiler questions.
I'm honestly gonna make the attempt to go to this year's RTX.
I'm too.
But like, I don't know, just something like that to be like, this shouldn't be. It's like this shouldn't be a spoiler. This can be this may I don't know. Like it shouldn't be a spoiler because I don't know. It's like you guys are gonna do with Jean what they should have done with Sakura, right? He's gonna be like Katara type healer. But anyway, so Jean's probably gonna heal Weiss. Hopefully that doesn't completely ruin his character. And Blake's probably gonna show up. I would like to see her team up and fight Adam. A part of me was kind of hoping actually that we would get to see Yang and Adam show up and Yang like freeze up when she sees him.
Oh, that's probably happening, and
it's already January, and where the fuck is winter?
Yeah. I would love to see more winter and stuff like that show up, and I don't know. But how I want this to end is for the characters to basically say, Ozpin, Crow, you guys fucked up. Oscar, just stay here and help. I don't know, and help like repair things. Like honestly, I think that's the best.
Taking orders from Lionheart, from Ironwood now.
Something like that, or not even that, but just like we're doing our own thing, and there's not a damn thing any of you can do to stop us because you need us.
All the adults are wrong in this show.
Yeah.
It's like one of those like weird little kid shows where like the adults don't exist.
All the adults
Just-
are idiots. Yeah.
Yeah,
And like
all
have
are
Ru-
idiots.
and maybe even have them say like, you guys need us more than we need you, therefore we call the shots now and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. We have the healer, we have the Silver Eyes, we're calling the shots now, you guys just stay out of our way.
I'll be
and-
honest too. Also, I kind of want the Silver Eyes things to actually like as a MacGuffin that the Silver Eyes is. It's like I want the Silver Eyes to actually do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
to be
'cause,
fair
like,
though, I did like that this episode though, that like they don't do much. It's like, okay, so now people can shut up about them being fucking thank you. But yeah, it's like they need to fucking explain those things. But yeah, I want them to leave Oscar and Mistral and just go and do their own thing. And yeah, possibly RWBY gets captured. Maybe Jean heals Weiss and he gets captured. And like they force him to heal Tyrion's tail or something like that. But I don't know. But yeah, if someone gets captured, cool. But yeah, the heroes need a win this time around. So even if it's a win with a huge caveat. But yeah. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts on just in
Yeah.
general what needs to happen.
Sock's turn.
I don't. Well,
Sorry.
I probably don't have anything that say that hasn't already been like hammered and just ran through or anything like that. But I go to that thing. Depending on who comes with Blake, like if Gira, I have a thought that they might do this, like as a little note. It's like they might pull a little switch on us. The mere fact is like if Gira pops in with Blake for this attack on Haven, that with Adam and everyone there, this is where Gira dies. It's not like oh, he survived the attack on the household, he's fine. It's like no, this is where he dies. Like you thought he was going to die there during the attempted assassination.
They kind of red herring,
but he actually dies at the actual battle.
Oh, what? Yeah. Who knows?
But is it
I'm
that
still
only
hoping it's
hinges on if he
more her and it needs to be her and son though. That's
yeah,
fine.
it does need, but like
yeah.
But yes, I think if they do that, I think you have something there. If that's what they do,
I can see Blake, Son's doing whatever, helping Gira or helping Callie or helping some of the other people because Blake will run off on her own or something like that, and it's Blake and Adam for a little bit, and then she gets pushed into a corner, and then here comes Gira out of nowhere, and then
Gira gets
and then they're fighting, and it's going for an episode or something like that, and then Gira finally gets it, and Blake's distraught, and then here comes Son to the rescue to save Blake, because that's his usual thing. He always pops in at the last second, it's because Son and Gira were fighting the Fox brothers, adjacent room. Why did it take Son so long to get back from the rooms? Where was Son? It's like he waits for that moment. But that's Son's thing. He just pops in at during what's most opportune.
Yeah.
So
I think that's more of a problem with the animation and the blocking for the fight scenes.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just saying that'll be his thing. He'll come in to save the day for Blake at least. But Gira would kind of be like, "Oh, well, yeah, we should have seen this coming." And as far as any other, I don't know, I want to see more of Crow and Raven's fight because I want to see that whole family dynamic. I mean, there's not really a dynamic there, but I want to see how she pulls off this whole thing, or she's dropping a hint that it's hey, I'm not really with them. I'm doing my own thing. That's about it.
So I just found this. So apparently in episodes 3 and in episodes 5, Blake's scar is visible for split seconds, and it has to be CSI zoomed in and enhanced upon. But it is there. So I think we can wrap this up now because I kind of
get going too.
Yeah, I'm out of stuff to talk about with this episode.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I have a question for you later, Media. I have a question for you later because you were talking about this earlier, but that's for talking back next later.
But we will know tomorrow what sort of episode we're going to be getting.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more
Anyway,
pissed at this volume in general and at the show than this episode, but this episode brought a lot of that brought a lot of that to the
These
forefront.
next 3 episodes will make or break the volume.
Yeah.
That's-
They can't help the
And
pacing, but
honestly,
the volume.
and more than that, and more than just the volume.
Yeah, and the show
I think this
Yeah,
has
the show
a
in
lot
general.
more implications. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
because here's the thing: a lot of people didn't like Volume 4, right? Volume 3 was the only time they generally had some decent critical, like, acceptance. Volume 4, although everybody who says it's the worst is wrong,
Yeah.
we have to admit that, you know, the basic bitches like are the majority, and that they think that's not good. And in the case of Volume 5, unless they save it, which I don't think they're going to, I think it's already lost. Because every time we think something decent is going to happen, it doesn't. Even the people that really do look at the show and know what's going on, i.e. people like us, and there's others too, not just us, they're going to agree with the basic bitches that this volume is garbage. Because so far, I don't see anybody really loving this volume. So they're fucked at that point.
Few people on Amino, but they're stupid.
Yeah.
yeah,
General
definitely,
consensus is that
definitely.
this volume's garbage.
Like you said,
deciding
basic
moment.
bitches.
So.
Because of the poor reception this volume's been getting.
Yeah,
And,
the
if
pacing
we're ready to wrap up,
Yeah.
if you like this video and you want to see more, please like, comment, and subscribe. For more videos every week. I will have my review up by the end of the week. It's gonna take a little longer because I got some other things going on this week. But you could also check out my fan fiction. RWBY on Home has been going pretty strong the last couple days. I've been like in a writing spree with that. You could also check out my White Knight fic that High Powered alluded to, called the Shining Knight and the Snowy Angel.
I haven't read that one yet.
It's all on my fan fiction profile. And yeah, only other thing is I do have I do have a Patreon if you guys feel so inclined. It's just there. I don't really do anything with it.
You pay $100 or something, you get on the podcast. Eh?
I am a shill. I am not afraid to sell out. And
I would say $20 is more reasonable to get on this podcast.
Yeah.
But you have to have a good microphone and a webcam.
Yeah.
Cue Rubik Fish.
And and check out our Facebook page, RWBY and Beyond. Link will be in the description. And from there you can get on the Discord and join in the conversation.
Yep.
That's all I got.
I need people to play Tarkov with, and I'll eventually get back to my fanfic.
I have nothing to plug. I am very sorry I am very sorry about that. I will.
Shame on you.
I like the first
holidays.
First
Holidays.
The recording quality wasn't great, but the rest of it was good.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm
it.
sorry
I
about. Yeah, I'm sorry I haven't been able to get that out. Holidays and all that, but
yeah.
Next week. Anyway,
I had 1,000 followers on Instagram, so you can go follow me over there, which is
I just started up on Instagram.
Nothing to do with RWBY whatsoever.
You're just like, hey, just Instagram followers.
Clothing stuff. That's like my main hobby, actually. Clothing and writing. Like,
yeah, I'm getting close to 500 subscribers. I'm gonna have to do something for that.
I know. Nice. Yeah, you should.
Yep.
All right.
Anyone else? All right, so I'm gonna find my mouse and we're gonna call it a night. Have a good day.
bye.
Good night.
Bye.